If your baseball team has ever swept an incredibly important doubleheader, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Even you Brewers fans, welcome back. Today is going to be the Wednesday, August 20th edition. We've got some stuff to go over. We had some earnings here this morning from Target and TJX. Lowe's, we also had some earnings for. We've got Fed Waller speaking today, but not a whole lot as investors still await the Jackson Hole Powell speech. Jackson Hole starts today. Powell speaks on Friday. So as market participants await that, we await what the market is going to do. We do have some stuff to look at today. We've got some movers to get ready for or to get you prepared for. We have a number of earnings here. And of course, we're going to take a look at the broader market and go over some of the top news stories here today. Benzinga's pre-market playbook for Wednesday, August 20th, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful Tuesday evening, and hopefully your Wednesday is starting off awesome as well. As a reminder here, I'm going to channel my inner Kevin. Please go ahead and hit that like button. The earlier we get it in the stream, the more important it is for the algorithm. And I'll try not to ask you 1,000 times today, but I really would like you folks to do that. Now, it is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today, as it always is. Sun-Kissed Yogi is first. All right, Sun-Kissed Yogi, welcome back. What is your favorite thing about yoga? I guess is my follow-up question. Hopefully you are well. Crispy Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. Candace, good morning. Welcome back. Francis, good morning. Brent, good morning. Already trading here, Brent. Love the early action and energy. Good stuff. Jane, good morning. Welcome back. Ivan, good morning. Welcome back. Big Bear Hug, good morning. Chuck and Richard, good morning. Richard, how excited are you for football season, bro? And fantasy football, we're going to have so much fun. It's good to see you again, boss. Hoot, good morning. Brian, good morning. Bernhard, good morning. Producers locked in. Corey, good morning and welcome back. Ed, good morning. Day Trader, good morning. Brandy, it's good to see you as always. Mark, good morning. Charles, Harley, and Big Bees, good morning. There's Rooster. We've got the call in the morning. We can all wake up and go to work. Welcome back, Rooster. It's good to see you. JJ, good morning. Cam, good morning. Kevin, good morning. I am Kevin. Good. Who else would you be, Kevin? It's good to be a Kevin. Welcome back. Knights Lance, good morning. Welcome back. Joseph, good morning. Welcome back. Billy, good morning. We will definitely take a look at CCSISI. It's a huge mover here today. Dive Deep. I almost called you Div Deep. That's not a math equation. Dive Deep. Good morning. Welcome back. Rooster's already hit that like button. Follow Rooster's lead here. He's out here leading the morning. I absolutely love it. Good stuff, Rooster. Appreciate you. Big Milkshake Trading. Good morning. Nikhil. Good morning. Exy. Good morning. Big Dave. Good morning. Mavericks back. Let's go. I am back, XE Media, and I'm going to be back tomorrow, but I am taking Friday off because I'm going to go on another golf trip in Michigan, and it's going to be amazing. All right, folks. Good morning. Let's go ahead and take a look at the SPY before we... that's not the right thing. Whoa, Ryan. Click the right buttons here. Good morning, Johnny. Welcome. Our Twitter universe is checking in, and I am here for it. All right, starting with the SPY. Amazingly, just amazingly, the pattern has held. So we've been talking a lot about seasonality really kind of being choppy for August. And if you take a look at the daily chart of SPY, take a look at this. Red, green. We are still doing, it is August 20th. And we have done nothing but go red one day, green the next day on the daily candle, and the chop is real. And this absolutely makes the SPY or makes swing trading here a little bit harder. Now, we are right above the 20-day moving average. So to me, it sure seems like a test of this moving average is on deck here for today. I don't know exactly what's going to cause that yet. As mentioned, we do have several bigger companies reporting earnings today, and that's likely weighing on this. S&P futures here down about 1/10, down 0.08%. The Dow futures are actually green, but basically unchanged. And the NASDAQ futures are down 0.2 here. So we're starting slightly in the red. We'll see if we have enough strength today based on what's going on to give us a green close here and stay above the 20-day. In a perfect world, honestly, we would trade down to 636, probably even, right? We'd overshoot this a little bit, hold right there, and that might actually set up for a short-term trade, maybe even a day trade, using SPY or using something connected to the broader market here, maybe calls on some of those levered ETFs or the levered ETFs themselves. So we'll see if we end up getting that green candle here today. The big key level for me is going to be this 630, 638. In other words, the 20-day moving average. Do we hold it? Do we test it? Do we close above it, or do we close below it? Those to me are going to be the really big things to take from today. I don't think there's really any chance that we trade back up to the all-time high. I don't think that's going to be tested here today. To me, it sure looks like a rollover to this level, and a potential hold or a potential breakdown would be next. Furthermore, if we did break down from this, I got to think that this 50-day moving average is going to come pretty quick. 623.5. That's actually not even far. I mean, that's 13 SPY points away from the 20-day. If we look at the chart here, this is actually still a bit higher than the low that we put in on Friday, August 1st. So to me, this really seems like a pretty ideal pullback level. You'll also notice going back to the middle of July, I guess the beginning to the middle of July, this was a consolidation area where we really didn't trade out of a whole lot. So to me, that actually seems like a reasonable spot for this to get back to if we do continue to trade lower. I also wanted to take a quick look at the Qs here today. You'll notice that the Qs are actually right at the 20-day already. So some of the pullback that we saw yesterday in Palantir and Nvidia. In fact, let's take a really quick look at Nvidia's chart, because I think other traders were looking at this too. Nvidia break beneath the 20 for the first time in how long? Gosh, this was all the way back. The last time that we broke down beneath the 20 was this day, April 16th, 2025. Really, really close to the Liberation Day lows. We've come back into this level and tested it, but yesterday the story was different. We actually broke through that 20-day to the downside, and I think that that is absolutely weighing on the Qs and the rest of tech. If we take a look at Palantir, which was another really high flyer, did the same thing, right? We broke through that 20, but Palantir was down 10% yesterday, so a really huge move down. Now, so far here, we've tested the 50, which is kind of what we're looking for on the SPY. We'll see if this holds. We'll see if we get maybe a temporary bounce here from Palantir. And we'll see if that bleeds through to the Qs. We'll see if that bleeds through to the Qs. The other thing here is that here's a look at the Dow. It's a little bit further away from this level. Dow could easily come back in towards that 20-day as well. We did get reports from Home Depot, which kind of buoyed it yesterday. Lowe's was up here earlier this morning. That should also kind of keep this elevated. We're near all-time highs here. I still think the next key level here is probably 445 on DIA. We'll see if we end up testing that here today. And then finally, IWM. And I think this is really going to be in focus quite a bit for our group here going forward, because if we do start an interest rate cutting cycle, small caps should absolutely benefit from that. And part of me wonders how much of this is already being priced into the market. You saw we had the huge break higher here. Now we're kind of back testing the breakout level. To me, this actually looks like a pretty good spot to hold. Yes, I do see the 20-day down there at 223. Maybe we pull back a little bit here if the market is weak, but otherwise, I think a back test of this level and then maybe a move back towards 230 makes a lot of sense if the market is trying to price in an interest rate cutting cycle that should benefit small cap stocks. So that's kind of our 30,000 foot view. Let's actually kind of wrap this up a little bit with our morning update here today. And we'll take a look at what's going on. We do have crude inventories today. And then we also have Fed Waller's speech here today. You can see here's the market. Bitcoin is up a little bit here today, up by just about 1%. Ethereum leading the way higher, just shy of 4% to the upside. Gold's marginally higher here as well. And we already kind of talked about some of those indices. Now, the other thing here today, we do have a couple of conferences. So the 85th Earnings Growth Conference, this has some stocks that we talk about. I think we've traded JAGX here before. We've traded 13's cousin here, 22nd Group, XXII. So there's going to be some of these smaller stocks that we might be familiar with from previous sessions that are going to be a part of that growth conference. Maybe we get something out of that. And then the other one here is the Sidoti Events LLC's virtual August micro cap conference. So again, more of a focus here on small caps. We'll see if maybe they talk anything about the possible rate cutting cycle and the lower interest rates, which should benefit these basket of stocks. Taking a look at some of the initiations here, Mondelez was the one that kind of stood out to me here. McCormick, maybe. These more kind of consumer Consumer staples, some more of the defensive names here. JP Morgan going to overweight on MKC McCormick with an $83 price target. Stock is currently $70, so $13 of upside right there. Mondelez also got an overweight from JP Morgan, $75 price target. Stock is $62.83 right now. And then Medtronic, which we kind of talked about yesterday, medical device company. They got a neutral rating from Baird here, $96 price target. Stock's at $90. I'm not really sure how much there is actually there. As mentioned, Lowe's reported earnings. They're still holding higher here by 3%. Futu, Futu Holdings here, this is another name that we've traded in the past. They reported earnings here. They're up by 2.65%. Estee Lauder is down after their earnings by about 9%. They cited tariffs, by the way. They were the only one to cite that. Target is down over 10%. They have a CEO change, and the CEO that's being replaced is actually moving to the board. So that's what's going on there. And then Baidu here, this also down a little bit post earnings. TJX, this is a break to new all-time highs here on TJX in the back of that earnings report. The chart actually looks pretty awesome too as it's breaking out here. Might be some more move on that. And as far as a trade goes here, you might have a gap and go setup there in TJX for anyone that's interested in that here today. Okay, that does it. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the news here. We're going to start with the morning update. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100's retreat came as peace talks between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders failed to deliver a breakthrough. They failed to deliver it yesterday, but that's still ongoing. There's still more that needs to happen. They've been very, very clear about that. I think the next step here is a bilat between Zelensky and Putin. Trump said he would attend that if necessary. Very clearly here, it seems like all parties really want this war to be resolved. That's fairly obvious. Let's hope that can get done here pretty soon. Taking a look at the treasuries here, the 10-year bond yielded 4.31. That actually ticked down a little bit here this morning. Same with the 2-year, which had yielded 3.76. So those moving in the right direction here. No flashing lights, at least as of right now, from those. Economist Jeremy Siegel highlights Fed Chair Powell's upcoming speech as a key market mover, outweighing a recent slew of mixed economic data. Wisdom Tree senior economist Jeremy Siegel states that the market's direction for the coming months could be shaped by the Federal Reserve Chair Powell's address on Friday at Jackson Hole's Economic Symposium. Boy, tell us something we don't know, Jeremy. Siegel notes that while recent economic data has been varied, the underlying trend suggests that the price pressures are not accelerating in the areas most watched by the Fed. Despite a sharp jump in the Producers Price Index, or PPI, driven by portfolio management fees, he points out that some economists have actually lowered their estimates for PCE inflation. This suggests that core inflation, when adjusted for statistical anomalies, is aligning with the Federal Reserve's path towards potential policy easing. This is that rate cutting cycle that I think we're all kind of hoping for, at least. Retail sales, the data came in on target and combined with prior revisions could slightly increase the second quarter GDP growth from its 3.1% pace. Siegel believes the second quarter was stronger than many had feared. I think we got that confirmed there in the data. Jobless claims are stable at around 220,000, indicating labor market resilience even as hiring slows. And Siegel reiterates his view on inflation caused by tariffs as, quote, a one-time tax-driven price adjustment, end quote, and not a sign of an overheating economy that the Fed should react to with restrictive policy. Remember, we're already in restrictive policy, so we want to move to a more easing state. As far as the money supply goes, growth in the money supply is soft, but not recessionary, which Siegel argues strengthens the case for policy easing. According to Siegel, Chair Powell's Fed speech on Friday will be the, quote, fulcrum on which the next leg of this market pivots, end quote. Now, I agree with that. I do think there could be a little bit of a sell the news here, but I think Jeremy's taking a little bit of a longer term view there in his fulcrum comment, and I do agree with him. I do think that this would, if the market continues to move higher, when we look back, this is going to be one of the reasons for that. I absolutely agree with Siegel there. A dovish tone. If Powell acknowledges the cooling labor market and the positive trend in core inflation, it could signal a 25 basis point rate cut in the Fed's September 17th meeting. Siegel expects a further bid under small cap names in this scenario. And that's kind of what we're thinking there for the IWM chart and where the IWM could go from here. A hawkish signal, on the other hand, if Powell emphasizes the need for more data and downplays the recent economic softness, markets will interpret it as hawkish. Quote, I expect risk markets to react negatively, end quote. So here you go. Siegel's telling you if he sounds dovish on Friday, higher we go. If he sounds hawkish, lower we go. Pretty simple there. Market positioning has become increasingly reactive to expectations for the Fed's next move. Siegel points out that small cap and value stocks, which are more dependent on short-term financing, have shown a tight correlation with interest rate expectations. That's a more academic way of saying what I was just telling you. As anticipation for rate cut builds, small caps rally, and we hope to see more of a follow-through on that. In contrast, large tech firms with significant cash reserves or long-term debt are less sensitive to near-term rate changes. So there we go. Okay. Next story here is going to be about Palantir. We talked about how this is really kind of starting to pull back. First time in a while, it's really showing any types of weakness here. It expanded this morning here. It's actually down here in the pre-market. I believe it still is. Yeah, down here in the pre-market. It expanded its relationship, or its partnership, with Fujitsu. The continued slide comes amid valuation concerns intensifying following critical reports from the short seller Citron. Now, this is what we talked about here. So for anyone that might have missed this, as a reminder here, renowned short seller Andrew Leff's Citron Research issued a bearish report arguing the stock of the Denver-based company is significantly overvalued and detached from fundamentals and analysis. Well, we've kind of joked about Palantir being detached from fundamentals for some time, so that really doesn't open any eyes, but the $40 price target, I think, is what's drawing the attention there. Using OpenAI's recent $500 billion valuation as a benchmark, Citron calculated a $40 per share price target for Palantir. The report's central thesis compares OpenAI's projected $29.6 billion in 2026 revenue at a 17x price to sales multiple to Palantir's consensus 2026 revenue forecast of $5.6 billion. Applying the same multiple implies a $40 stock price. Though Citron stated at $40, Palantir would still be expensive. Oh, that's funny. Citron's report highlighted significant insider selling by CEO Alex Karp. Shout out to you folks, too, because you folks have been all over a lot of the insider sellings, as well as some of the guests that we've had on mentioning this. Alex Karp, the CEO, who sold nearly $2 billion in shares over the past 2 years. The firm contrasted OpenAI's unprecedented revenue growth with Palantir's steady progress and criticized the company's reliance on lumpy, scalable revenue from government contracts. I think that's actually one of the things that really kind of sets this apart. Now, it remains to be seen if OpenAI gets some government business in the future, but I think that's one of the things that's really driving Palantir, frankly. We know that it's being used in defense. We know that there's seemingly no actual budget for that, and that is inflating Palantir's numbers quite a bit. Despite a 388% gain over the past year, Palantir has gained just 3.93% in the past month from its 52-week high. So it does really seem like the momentum that really ripped this thing to the upside, it does seem like that's kind of abating here. And I think that has traders wondering if there's more downside here for Palantir. Is there a bigger short that we can capture here? You'll have to let me know what you folks think about Palantir. I still love this company. I would love to add this on a pullback. What I would actually like, probably more than anything else, is for this to give us a chart setup that looks pretty good, right? So let's actually go back to a chart here and take another quick look at Palantir. I'd like to know from you folks, let's say we do get a extended sell-off in Palantir. What level would you be enticed at buying this? Are you ready to buy this at 150 or at 152 if it holds or recaptures the 50-day moving average? Do you want to wait for the $40 price target, which seems like ages ago? Does the 200-day at 105 or the round 100 number float your boat, for lack of a better word? Do any of the previous lows where Palantir is reversed, does that give you an area to target this? Yassine saying yes, 140 to 145 145 on a pullback looks to be a good level for Yasin here. This does correspond with several lows here. If we move up to 145, that is a little bit of a consolidation area here from the end of June, as well as some points on the chart that really kind of reverse this. So good stuff there, 140, 145. Ed says $60. Okay, so this is exactly what I was hoping for. I was hoping for price targets from our group all over the map, and the first two are painting the exact picture that I would hope for. Carl here says 125 would be a good level for that. That's actually just 6 points below the 100-day moving average. So maybe if we peak below that and stop shy of the 200, your 125 would come in there. 3D says $70. Tell you what, $70 would be also pretty good. If you take a look at this, $70 actually, this was a support level that we used back at the end of 2024 before we traded up, came back in towards that level. We actually peaked below that $75 level, but that was on, I believe this is Liberation Day. Yeah, that was on Liberation Day. That was very, very short-lived. That $70 level actually looks pretty good too. Big Bees says there's a missed pivot at 153. There's also a missed pivot at 101.11. Ryan says 145. Okay, I love this. This is great. You guys are all thinking about where you're looking to add this. I agree. I think the next move here is probably a pullback. I wouldn't be shocked if a name like Palantir, like it's pulling back a little bit right now, if it had one more move to the upside, sucked in a whole bunch of bulls that say, oh yeah, 200, 250 is probably next, and then we have a larger extended downside move. If that lines up with the September seasonally being the weakest month of the year, this could actually set up for a pretty good trade. Day trader saying Palantir looks like a good target for cash secured puts. Okay, there's another good strategy for trading this. Big B is reminding us of the psychological $100 level, which I think would definitely come into play. Okay, really good stuff there from the group. Really good stuff there from the group. Let's see. This is, yeah, here we go. This, I have one slide out of order here. Okay, the next story here is going to be on Nvidia. China doesn't need Nvidia. The Futurum CEO calls that, quote, next level nonsense. I love calling things nonsense, so this story really stood out to me. Daniel Newman, the CEO of Futurum Group, dismissed the idea that China can move on without Nvidia. I think he's absolutely correct, by the way, before we go through this. Taking to X, Newman said Nvidia looks to be advancing efforts to bring the B30, a China-ready Blackwell, to market. The whole, quote, China doesn't need Nvidia, end quote, is next level nonsense. Don't believe it. For any of you that might want to go through some of the tweets here, they're all linked in the story. I'll go ahead and throw that link for the story in the chat. You can go through that on your own. Wedbush analyst Dan Ives quickly chimed in with a fiery emoji reply, signaling agreement that Nvidia's role in China remains critical. And just in case you didn't know what that meant and you wanted further confirmation of it, here's the tweet. Here is Dan Ives' fiery emoji reply. It's literally two fiery emojis. And then we got what looks like a fisted hand or a fist bump there. So, okay. In any case, let's get back to the story here. Newman's statement came after it was reported that Nvidia is developing a B30A, a new AI chip tailored for China, built on the company's advanced Blackwell architecture. The chip will feature a single die design with about half the computing power of the flagship B300. It could also offer more performance than the H20 chip, which U.S. regulators currently allow for sale in China. Moreover, it also indicates high bandwidth, or it also includes high bandwidth memory and NVLink connectivity, core features from the previous models. The company aims to ship test samples to Chinese customers by September of 2025. China accounted for 13% of Nvidia's fiscal 2024 revenue, making it one of the company's most important markets. Nvidia's expansion comes against a tense political backdrop. In April, the company faced a ban but regained approval in July to sell the H20 model. President Trump has since indicated his administration will permit scaled-down AI chips in China, provided Nvidia and AMD agree to give back 15% of the Chinese chip revenue to the U.S. government. Both companies reportedly accepted the deal, sparking criticism from national security experts who warned the chips could still aid China's military. Now, Nvidia also faces rising competition from companies like Huawei and Cambricon as Beijing pushes companies to adopt domestic chips. However, China's local hardware continues to lag. And we saw this because Chinese AI startup DeepSeek reportedly delayed the launch of its R2 model after persistent technical failures with Huawei's Ascend processors. The firm was forced to rely on Nvidia GPU for training while using Huawei chips only for inference tasks. So I remember when DeepSeek first came out, we actually huge affection for me. I thought I was very flattered by this, but we actually had Chinese trolls in the chat trying to do a victory lap that the U.S. has wasted all of this money and China's so much better. Well, now we find out that that's a bunch of hogwash. And actually, we have that confirmed. We knew that, some of us knew that right at the time, but now we have confirmation of that. DeepSeek was built off the back of American technology, period, end of story. And now that technology, in the case of chips here, is not available, they're having trouble releasing their next version. So just to kind of circle back to Newman's initial comments here, yeah, they need NVIDIA. They can't do this on their own. They can say whatever they want, but they'd be wrong. Okay, next here, we're going to give you a Pomp story. You guys ready for this one? How about, I know we've been talking about Open Door quite a bit here recently. Let's dive into some more stuff here. Investor and podcast host Anthony Pompliano, I can't believe I butchered his name. I'm sorry, Anthony. Anthony Pompliano is pushing back against the narrative that Open Door is just another meme stock, arguing that retail investors have evolved into a powerful and coordinated force in today's market. So here you go, folks. Take a victory lap. All of you are retail traders, at least as far as I know here. And you're a powerful force in today's market, to use Pomp's language here. So pat yourself on the back for that. Pat yourself on the back for that. On Tuesday, in a post on X, Pompliano defended the recent retail frenzy surrounding Open Door, saying that people calling Open a meme stock don't understand what is happening. Now, remember, and I'm actually going to give you this article as well, because remember, Jay Rice, when he first started talking about this long before the big squeeze run that we had, Jay Rice actually gave you the thesis that Eric Jackson posted here on Twitter. And his tweet is going to be in here as well. So if you want to be able to find all of that, go through all of that, and go through all of the new stuff, you can use that link there in the chat. It's got links to all of the necessary accounts here. He said this while describing retail investors as a hive mind that is working together to, quote, identify opportunities, end quote, take financial positions, and then advocating for improvement at target companies. Think of it as a decentralized hedge fund, he says, but one where each investor directs his own capital while loosely collaborating to surface the best ideas. So Izzy, I know you're just cutting to the chase here. Do I like Open long term? No, I like Rocket long term. Open Door to me is going to be a trading vehicle. Maybe something changes. Maybe I have an awakening. Maybe the wool is pulled from over my eyes. Whatever you want to say. No, I don't. I don't have a long term thesis here. I can read Eric's. I can't necessarily poke a whole bunch of holes in it. I'm just not sure I'm fully there yet. In the meantime, in other words, what that matters to you is that until something changes, so over the next few weeks or months, I may trade Open, but it would be for a short-term trade only. It would not be for an investment. And Izzy, if I change my mind on that, I'll be very specific and let you know about that. Pompliano cites Open Door as a clear example of how retail investors are actively shaping companies rather than just trading their shares, which this to me I actually really like. If this is true and this holds up and then proliferates through other companies, that would be awesome. This is actually one of the reasons why I talk so much about how I like that the Ondas CEO Eric Brock will often respond or say stuff to people on Twitter. To me, it just seems like the retail investor is being taken more seriously. It's not all about hedgies. It's about all of the participants, and I really do believe that the retail investors' slice of the pie is growing here. I actually think Bitcoin has contributed to that, but that's another conversation entirely. Quote, look at the hundreds of product suggestions that people have sent to Open Door executives. end quote. Adding that investors have also provided feedback on company communications while helping with the identification of potential M&A opportunities. For those who are still dismissive of this trend, Pomp highlights the investor activism that got Opendoor CEO Carrie Wheeler to step down last week. Quote, if you think it's not worth paying attention to, remember the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar public company just quit in response to retail pressure, end quote. Pompliano believes that this is just the beginning. Quote, my expectation is that Opendoor is the first of many situations like this where the hive mind is able to move faster to opportunities than traditional investors, end quote. He said, adding that the power of the crowd cannot be underestimated. So there you go. Not a meme stock. Pompliano echoed the views of hedge fund manager Eric Jackson, who has been at the forefront of Opendoor's 875% rally since the beginning, and who has since shrugged off the meme stock tag, saying that it was, quote, a real business, end quote. Last week, Jackson expressed his interest in creating a mini Berkshire for retail investors. While he didn't offer any details, he said, I have a plan for a mini Berkshire that more retail folks can participate in. More to come on that. Shares of Opendoor were down 4.23% on Tuesday, closing at $3.62. So you'll have to let me know. Can we take a look at CRM? Let me add that to the list. We're going to keep rolling through news here, Kyle, but I'll absolutely add CRM to the list. And when we go through ticker time, we can definitely take a look at that. No problem at all. There is also a poll up. The producer doing it today. Do you think Opendoor is a meme stock? We got a simple one for you. It's yes or no. It's yes or no. Okay, let's keep rolling through some of the news. The next one here, I want to talk about VKTX. Our guest yesterday from T3 talked about this. This thing had an extremely rough day. I think I'm going from memory here, so you'll have to fact check me on this, but I believe he said as long as this held above 25, I think was the number he gave. Maybe there was a little range in there. As long as this held above 25, you might have some more upside movement. Well, gosh, it didn't do that. We tried to hold 25, 26 in the pre-market, but right after the open, this thing just pounded a low here, right? In fact, what was that low? Low's down here at 23.21. And then it pretty much stayed there the rest of the day, and it's really done nothing in the after hours and nothing in the pre-market. It says it's up by 1.15% here, but it's basically only up a quarter. Not really a whole lot going on. Not really a whole lot of upside movement here yet in VKTX, but maybe there's more. Is it 129 a strong buy, or is it clearly an inferior drug? Viking Therapeutic saw its stock collapse by over 42% on Tuesday after data from its phase 2 obesity pill trial disappointed investors, sparking a fierce debate between Wall Street bulls and critical biotech experts. Folks, I'm going to run through this story, but I really got to say here, I don't think this is the last of this at all. I think you're going to keep seeing more of this, especially around the GLP-1s. No question on that. While the stock's plunge erased billions in market value, some analysts are calling it a massive overreaction and a prime buying opportunity, while others argue that the data reveal a drug that is uncompetitive against market leaders like Eli Lilly and Novo. On one side of the divide, Wall Street firms are doubling down. Raymond James issued a strong buy rating with a staggering $129 price target, citing impressive placebo-adjusted weight loss. This marks a $100 plus potential move if it goes to that price target within the next 12 to 18 months. I think that just that alone is going to get people on the bull side. I'd like to know which side of this are you on, by the way. Analysts at William Blair echoed this statement, calling the dramatic sell-off, quote, extreme and unwarranted. They argue that investors over-indexed on tolerability concerns and discontinuation rates, which they believe can be managed in future trials, and missed the positive efficacy signals. Now, the bears, they point to a fatal flaw in the obesity data. Medical and biotech experts on social media painted a starkly different picture. Biotech investor Adam May provided a direct comparison, concluding that Viking's drug appears, quote, clearly inferior, end quote, to Eli Lilly's tirzepatide based on available data. He also noted that the Viking pill requires 14 and 28 times more API than Lilly's drug, creating a huge headwind for the company. And again, his tweets, charts, and breakdowns are all in this. The critique was amplified by others. Hataf Capital, who pointed to a high trial dropout rate of 20% for patients on the drug, compared to just 5.7% for those on placebo, questioning the drug's real-world viability. Now, I'd like some more insight on why people dropped out. Part of me wonders if it's about just the nausea feeling that you get from some of these. We've heard that is actually worse in the pill form than it is in the injectable form. The data show that patients achieved up to a 12.2% mean body weight reduction after 13 weeks, but concerns over tolerability and higher than expected discontinuation rates overshadowed those results. This dramatic turn of events comes just days after chief market strategist of Futurum Equities, Shea Ballur, speculated that Eli's recent 40-year bond issuance could be a prelude to acquiring Viking. Now, this really stood out to me because from the beginning of the thesis here on Viking, I always felt that this was a takeover target. And unless the data continues to come out that the technology is garbage and there's really nothing here, I think that thesis is still intact. And that, in other words, given the data that we've had here, I still think this is an acquisition target. And now we're being given an opportunity to maybe hold this for that purpose at a pretty severely discounted price. That is definitely intriguing. So speculate that Eli Lilly's recent 40-year bond issuance could be a prelude to acquiring Viking, leading investors to wonder if the now 42% cheaper company is a bargain or a damaged asset. So place your bets. Is this a buying opportunity or is this the death blow? Is it for Viking here? Part of me really would like to just throw a call position that I don't really care about. If it goes to zero or if it trades down, it's not the end of the world. Because I think if there's an acquisition here and these price targets are even remotely close, there could be a gigantic premium paid here for VKTX. Let me know what you folks think about this. I know we've talked about this quite a bit in the past. I know we've kind of moved on from GLP-1s to AI and other things like that, but I'm definitely curious. What do you think about a potential acquisition here for VKTX? Because I think this could be a massive, massive profitable trade if you're able to hold that there. Brandy said, I saw something about side effects for the drug for VKTX. Indeed. And that's not something to just poo-poo or sweep under the rug. There are side effects for all of these fat drugs, period, end of story. And I know that there's there's a lot of people that think, oh, it's not that bad, or some of these studies are paid for by anti-drug companies, blah, blah, blah. There are some very, very real health concerns that come from this. And I actually think that the American public in particular is becoming more and more sensitive to drug side effects. It's very, very clear that the pharmaceutical industry, our health is not in their best interest. We are nothing more than customers to them. And the more drugs we can get on, the better their P&L is. And I think people are starting to wake up to that. I'm not sure if it's happening fast enough, but I think that there is. And that the tailwinds from that will absolutely have an effect on any of these drugs that have significant side effects. I absolutely believe that. Okay. We don't have Tim Melvin today, and 13 is not here yet, so I got a couple more stories to just rip through here, and then we'll have more time to do ticker time for you here today. I did want to talk about, I did want to go to this story here. Markets at record highs, but these ETF sectors are bleeding cash. Just kind of a recap here. U.S. listed ETFs attracted almost $38 billion for the week of ending August 15th, continuing on one of the strongest years in history for ETF inflows. Let me make sure here real quick. Boop, boop. Yep, there we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Got distracted there by a message from work. Both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 recorded new all-time highs, lifting year-to-date ETF inflows to almost $730 billion. But under the top-level numbers, some industries are cracking up. Two of the week's largest losers were communication services and semiconductors, which investors exited despite the market overall being strong. The Communication Services Select Spider Fund, which is heavily skewed towards Alphabet and Meta, experienced a whopping 3.4 billion. Oh my God, excuse me, 3.4 billion in redemptions, the biggest of any ETF last week. The redemptions occurred at the same time as worries about ad spend trends and decelerating growth at megacap internet platforms arrived. Leveraging chip funds weren't spared either. The Direction Daily Semiconductor Bull 3X SOXL, which we have traded quite a bit here, fell by 1.5 billion following a late week selling in chip makers, triggered by Applied Materials earnings letdown. Now, here's the good news about this. Little bit of a preview. We are going to bring Ed Iglinski, the managing director of alternative investments at Direction, back on September 4th. Yes, that September 4th, the day football starts. We might also be able to get some football picks from him, but we're going to ask him, what does he see in these ETF inflows and outflows? Where's the money leaving? Where is it going? And what can we take from that? So stay tuned for that. Let's see. Let's look at the calendar here. That's 2 weeks from tomorrow. All right. So September 4th, we're going to have Ed on in the morning as a guest, and we're going to ask him these things. Okay. Last story here, and then we'll go to ticker time for you folks. We should also have 13 pretty soon. There's a Ross Gerber story. So buckle up. Ross Gerber says, avoid SPACs like the plague as Chamath Palihapitiya unveils his latest deal. So a couple of things here for you. Number one, who here wants to trade SPACs again? And who here thinks that they're absolute junk? And then furthermore, what are our thoughts here, chat, on Chamath? Do we like Chamath? Do we not like Chamath? Do we like the stocks? You folks, you'll have to let me know. Investor Ross Gerber of Gerber Kawasaki Wealth and Investment Management is warning retail traders and investors to stay clear of SPACs, or special purpose acquisition vehicles. On Tuesday, in a post on X, Gerber made a short but direct statement likely aimed directly at the SPAC king himself, Chamath. Gerber says, quote, avoid SPACs like the plague, end quote. In fact, here's the tweet. That's it. That's the tweet, as they say. When it comes to Palihapitiya returns with a $250 million new SPAC deal, now focusing on sectors such as artificial intelligence, clean energy, and U.S. defensive technologies, which he describes as being core to maintaining American leadership. That's definitely true, that last part of the statement, but we identified that on our own. We didn't need Chamath for that. All right, what's going on here? The strong dislike that Gerber has expressed for SPACs isn't surprising and is, in fact, perfectly warranted, since most of Palihapitiya's prior listings are now deep in the red, with one study showing that a $100 investment across each of his SPACs would now be down 73%. Not great. You get way better returns here on PreMarket Playbook, just saying. Gerber has been critical of SPACs for quite some time, going against them all the way back in 2021 when the SPAC mania was at its peak. According to Gerber, quote, SPACs are another Wall Street fleecing of individual investors, end quote, which is why he says everyone on Wall Street is doing it. Referring to Churchill Capital Corp, or CCIV, which was the special purpose acquisition company that merged with Lucid to help make the automaker public, Gerber says the stock was trading at $30 at the time, was available for Wall Street banks and hedge funds to buy at $10. This is called a PIPE, or a private investment in public equity, through which the big banks and hedge funds get a ton of warrants, often at extremely low prices, in companies that are about to go public. As of now, shares of Lucid Group are down 96.3% from their all-time high of 58.05. So you'll have to let me know. Do you like SPACs? Do you not like SPACs? Are you trading these SPACs? What are you doing with these SPACs? Good morning, Rustam. Joe's asking, DraftKings was a SPAC, wasn't it? Yes. In fact, this was probably the most successful SPAC. Wasn't SoFi a SPAC too? I know that went through some trouble initially, but eventually that kind of turned around here. But yeah, you're absolutely right. DKNG, DraftKings. This is the best performing SPAC. By the way, this is actually a pretty good day trade yesterday on that idiot drop. We're revisiting those. I think if it holds this low again here, maybe down near 44, you might get another opportunity, but we'll see. C-Dub says SPACs are garbage. There you go. C-Dub just giving it to us just straight there. I love that. I love the honesty here. Day trader, I don't like Chamath or SPACs. Okay, I see you're calling SPACs garbage, and I raise you a Chamath, which I also don't like. Chamath, sorry. Okay, anyway, I'm just having fun here. Joe's wondering if Ross Gerber descends from the Gerber baby food clan. That I don't know, but any of you internet sleuths out there, if you want to figure that out, I'd be interested in the results of that. Kush saying MP was a SPAC. Now, this is interesting. This is interesting, Kush League, because MP, this was kind of not great until recently, right? Until we recently had all of this stuff about rare earth minerals and lithium and all of that. This was kind of garbage too, wasn't it? Really just kind of drifted towards the low, just kept going down. And then recently things changed here, and this is now interesting. So there's, it's going to be hit or miss here. I'm with you guys. Generally speaking, I'm not part of the SPAC craze. I'd rather, I grew up watching Wall Street. I like when companies IPO. I like that price discovery. Sometimes I'm on the right side of it. Sometimes I'm on the wrong side of it. But this whole SPAC stuff, it definitely seems like this is a way for connected people to get an unfair advantage over the retail public. Maverick is saying Palantir was a SPAC. Okay, well, then I guess technically that's the best SPAC. I didn't realize that. But there you go. Good stuff there on that. Good stuff on all of the research there. Big Bear Hug. I'm back. What did I miss? Well, you missed all of the news. You missed a couple of funny comments, and you missed a couple of actually, I think you were back for the chat kind of going off on SPACs. But just a little bit of news. We'll go over it. Rustam is asking if Voyager is good. Voyager has not been good, although we do have an upcoming launch here. Maybe that gives Voyager a little bit of a reprieve. Maybe we trade higher here. Voyager has not been good, just straight up. This was definitely a loss, booked this loss, went into it small so that I'm not pulling my own hair out. But yeah, no bueno. No bueno here. All right. It's everyone's favorite time. It's time for 13. Let's see how he's doing. 13, good morning. Hold open for you.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Ryan. Heard you guys talking about SPACs.
We have a poll question is up for SPACs. Do we like them or dislike them? What do you think, 13?
So
no answers here, by the way.
No, that's fine. I don't care what anybody thinks about my answer. I think they're great vehicles for day trading, but they're not great investment vehicles unless you are getting in way earlier than it starts to, before all the redemption offers and everything start to come in. Because this thing, every time that you go into a SPAC, you're going to see this come crashing down later. These are all the redemption offers and the process of de-SPACing. It's going to, you just have to know that these are not going to be great after they merge. They're not. They're typically going to just sink. There's very few cases where they end up doing much better than what their SPAC price, which typically $10 goes for. You guys were mentioning some SPACs that ended up being successful, like MP Materials and SoFi, and United Wholesale was another one. So there are a number of SPACs out there, and they do go through that whole process of getting absolutely hammered as they de-SPAC. But they can sometimes be better, but they're not something that I think is worth holding on to. They're great trading vehicles, though.
Yeah, and then the other thing that you're mentioning there, that de-SPACing process, you're right. A lot of times, if the company is any good, that actually provides a buying opportunity, right? They drive the price down while the company de-SPACs, and then you have an opportunity to add that at a much cheaper price, and maybe that gives you a better trade. Really quickly here, I just wanted to follow up on this. Palantir was not a SPAC, guys, so I didn't think so. HG, appreciate that. Palantir was not a SPAC. It went through a public direct listing offering in 2020. However, the confusion here, Palantir has invested in many other SPACs. So I think I think that is where it came from. That means that DraftKings is still the best performing one.
There's still SPACs that are like just hanging on for dear life. Like I remember we traded QS not too long ago, QuantumScape. That was a SPAC.
Yeah.
A lot of these are still hanging around. It's kind of funny, but they do not make great investment products, they're much better for trading.
Okay. All right. Let's do the movers, and let's see. We've got plenty of time. We got 40 minutes till the market opens, so we can do the move. You know what? Before we do the movers, we're going to take a look at CRM. I just want to clear the deck here. We had a request from one of the viewers earlier to take a look at CRM here, so we'll do that real quick, 13, and then we can go ahead and knock out the movers. Here's a look at CRM, and the most recent thing that you need to have in mind here is that this does look like it held a recent support level. I'm going to call this 225 to 230. There's a couple of lows in here that stock has really kind of held on to. And it looks like it's trying to trade back up here. Now, a couple of things on this. Earnings in 14 days. So 2 weeks from today, it's going to report after the close. And it does look like today, if this has any type of upside movement here today, we probably are going to look to test the 20-day. It actually looks like we tried to do this yesterday right out of the open. Couldn't recapture it, couldn't get above it, stayed below it the rest of the day. Part of me wonders if CRM trades up here today, what happens at 249.59? You want to just call that 250, I'm with you on it. I get it. So I would see what happens here. What the good news is that if this continues to move higher, we have a good runway on the RSI. We do have some volume that looks like it's kind of increased recently as we came into this low. That gives me a feeling that this low may hold, at least for now. And then we also have a bunch of moving averages and potential targets right above it for a short-term swing trade. Now, my question for whoever asked to take a look at this, do you have a long-term approach on CRM? Is this something that you want to invest in for the long term, or is this something that you're just looking for a trade here based off maybe the chart or what's going on? I don't know what to expect from their earnings, so any trade that I would do would not include the earnings. In other words, my plan would be to plan to get out of that prior to earnings. And if you're interested in seasonality, here's a look at your chart. We actually do have a pretty decent pop here. This highlighted region that you see on the chart, this runs between August 20th today and September 18th. So it does look like we've got a pretty positive pop here, but that's met with a pullback. What I would take from this chart here is that if you do swing this and you get a abrupt move higher, I would use that to sell. And then I would see if this comes back in. You actually have a little bit better seasonality track here if you were to kind of adjust this, right? So if I were to take these dates and maybe extend them here, September 6th to the end of November gives us a more favorable seasonality here for CRM.
Based on the earnings date, it would seem that the seasonality implies that there's a run up into earnings and then a sell off afterwards.
There you go. So
that's what that seasonality was telling me.
Yeah. So okay. So that's great then, 13. So that should outline our trade pretty well here. We've got earnings in 2 weeks. Maybe we do see an up move here, a short-term up move over the next 2 weeks, and then a possible move down after earnings. That would actually kind of help that trade plan there.
It does kind of, the chart doesn't look that great to me. I think once it gets up to like over 260, I think it's going to have a hard time between 260 and 270. That's a little bit of a resistance area that I see. And it wouldn't surprise me if this after earnings or maybe even before, I don't know when, but it does, the chart doesn't look great to me in the sense that I think this could end up coming down beneath 200, like 195. Before it finds its footing. So maybe there is some short-term upside, but the chart isn't really making me feel confident that it's going to hold up.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. Hopefully that breakdown on CRM was helpful. I hope that we still even have that person here. Hopefully it didn't dip earlier when I didn't immediately cover CRM. Anyway, really good stuff there, 13. Bruce saying, hello, does Benzinga have an afternoon show?
Kind of.
So yes and no. We don't have a similar analog to this show that takes place in the afternoon, but we do have plenty of programming in the afternoon that varies depending on what it is that you're looking for. We will often have YouTube streams covering different earnings sprints. Sometimes we'll have interviews. Sometimes we'll have extended shows. For anyone that is a Benzinga Pro member, we actually Monday through Thursday have a show called Happy Hour, which is a Zoom call where everyone is encouraged to chat about what they saw in the market, what they think, ideas, what they don't like, et cetera, et cetera. You do have to be a pro member to get access to that. But otherwise, we don't have any analog here, Bruce. We're the early birds, so we come out and set the table for the day. I'm sure. Let me know what it is that you're looking for, and I can maybe help point you in a more narrow direction if that is helpful.
Morning, Wisdom.
And good morning, Wisdom. How many blunts deep are you already? That's what
retirement serving them well.
That's right. Producer here. We are working on getting more airtime later in the morning and into the afternoon. So watch this space. So Bruce, it looks like the meme says, you got a good idea kicking around up there. It looks like the team is on that. Okay. Go Steve says, Ryan, you've been on with those Canadian guys before, right? Trader TV, or am I mistaken? You are 100% correct. Those guys were always nice to me. I was invited on Trader TV several times last year. I'll tell you what, though, we'll pull the curtain back on that a little bit. I don't know why I haven't been invited back. I got two possible thesi. What's the right word for that? Fact check me on it. One, I made a bet with Neil about the Buffalo Bills, and I'm not even sure that we bet. He likes the Bills. I like the Bears. Don't forget, the Bears just drubbed the Bills. I understand it was a preseason game. There might be some animosity there. And then the other
table ready.
What's that?
Just tell him to get the table ready.
He's
going through it.
the other, oh God, 13. Where I could have used that back in the day. And then the other thing is that there was a Coinbase trade that I had recommended in one of my appearances there, and they didn't like it. And the next couple of days, Coinbase moved down, and then Coinbase absolutely ripped. So I don't know. What the deal is. I will say, though, those guys have always been nice to me. Sean, Neil, Adara, and then all of the people that I talked to behind the scenes, all very, very nice. So, yeah, I did appear on there. I just like talking about stocks. What can I say? I just like talking about stocks. Okay. All right, let's do there's CRM. Let's do movers. That's where I was. I lost my place there for a sec 13, but we brought it back. Were there any that you covered that you want to start with?
We can start with NBY.
Okay, let's do that. That's what I've got up here. NBY is Nova Bay Pharmaceuticals, and the shares are trading higher after the company announced it had entered into a $6 million securities purchase agreement with a private investor. So it looks like this is going to be more money without dilution. Am I right on that, 13?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of funny to me.
Okay, well, we'll get to that. Your answer was funny to me. This is up by 81%. This was a penny stock. We're in dollar territory. We're right on that border of those 100% runners. We'll see if that gets brought up here a little bit later. Short interest on this, completely negligible. I think you can ignore it. 0.66% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. There's just nothing going on here. Stock on average trades 157,000 shares per day. Today, we've traded just shy of 50 million. Float on this is 5.2 million, but 13, let us know. What's the deal here? What's funny about this?
So that $6 million investment, this saves the company from dissolution, and it's a $6 million securities purchase agreement with private investor David E. Lazar. So the company's getting $3.85 million in the first closing, and the remaining $2.15 million contingent on stockholder approval at the 2025 annual meeting, which is expected next quarter. Now they're also putting in a new CEO, effective immediately. His name is investor David E. Lazar. So I guess now what you do when you want to invest in a company, you basically take it over by giving it money and assuming leadership roles. So now I'm being a little bit of an exaggerant here, but that's just basically what's happened is that David Lazar has put up $6 million and he is taking over the company as CEO and as board director. So that's really all it takes these days, folks. If you have the cash, you can do whatever you want.
So if you got deep pockets like Ryan, you should go out there, give him money, get on the board, change everything around, and do it your way.
That's how you do it. So this is where we're at with the company. They've been saved from dissolution. They have 5.1 million shares in the float, and they did seem to have some cash, like a few quarters of cash anyway. But I was trying to see if what exactly this company did, and their website wasn't that helpful. So I just went to the chart thereafter and started seeing that we're trading higher in the pre-market. We did have a couple of impulse moves in the after hours that took us up to, let's see, this was pre-market. So the after hours high was 106. We went higher in the pre-market out of the gate at 115. So that gives us a little bit of a trend line that the price is making its way towards right now. So if we continue upwards, I think that resistance is going to kick in at about 135 to 140. We're rising into the open. We might continue to see this going. It's running into some resistance at that 115 area right now. So if we do get it back off of this 115 area in the pre-market here and it starts to come back in some more, we'll just wait for the open to happen, let it get its footing, and then we can trade this to the upside, because I'm targeting that 135, 140 area where the trend line is going to take us. So as long as we can get all that, then we should be able to hit that price. Just need to see what happens toward the open.
Okay. Good stuff there in MBY. Big Bear Hug. Yes, we can take a look at Carvana. Someone else wanted to take a look at Stratasys, ticker SSYS. I have added both of those to the list. We will do that after we finish with these movers. Good morning, Jay Rice.
Good morning.
Hopefully you are doing well here today. Okay, next one is going to be Shineco. This is Sissy. Their ticker SISI, that is. There were several folks trading this earlier here today. Shineco shares are trading higher after the company unveiled its on-chain sell asset tokenization platform. Okay, so you're getting some buzzwords there. Shineco unveiled the world's first on-chain sell assistant tokenization platform with PlusMe, acquires 51% of Xian's Dongao. Okay, to anchor the global blockchain biotech network. This doesn't sound great. This sounds like a catalyst that's likely going to get sold into, but I don't understand it totally, and I didn't read through it yet. So I would, if anyone in the group or 13 or both know a little bit more about this, please cover this, or please kind of go into that. Blockchain agreement, we'll see. 10.15% of the float is shorted on this name with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of 138,000 shares. Today we've traded 14.5 million. The float is 40 million. What do you think on this one, 13? SISI.
My understanding about what they're referring to and what they're talking about with this tokenization of their stem cell asset, I believe this is meant to be used for tracking and for, because there's another headline here from last week, like a week ago today, that the company is launching a blockchain-driven cell technology division to speed global stem cell product distribution. So it's I haven't been able to dig in too deep to this, but that's what it seems like it's doing. Now I might be wrong or not have everything that this is doing. What I'm saying, but it seems like that's what this is meant to be used for. The digital assets are kind of like tokens to ensure that you've received the correct product. At least that's what I'm gathering from this. And like I said, I could be wrong about that interpretation, but it seems like this is meant to be used for tracking and distribution. Now, this company did go through a recent reverse split, a 1 for 50. That happened earlier this month. And now we're still down, we still have a float of almost 40 million shares. So it's, not like a super low float that we're used to seeing where it's like less than 10 million shares, but they still went through that reverse split. And that's going to be, okay, so do they have cash, and are they going to need to raise capital? Because they're going through that whole motion of compliance. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't look like they have the cash. So I didn't notice any offering filings, any
capital raises.
So I'm not sure if that's out there yet. Wouldn't be surprised if this is something they end up doing. So just keep that in mind. Since this company does need cash, or going through the motions of the reverse split, usually what comes next is a capital raise. And then as far as the chart goes, we've been above and below VWAP pretty much yesterday we started. No, I'm sorry. No, it's just been all morning. All morning we've been up above and below VWAP, hitting a high of 818. We've since come back in. We're currently trying to recapture VWAP right now, and if we do and hold above it in the pre-market as we go into the the regular session, we could see this upward momentum continue. It just depends on really where we're at the open. So if we haven't blasted past 818 yet, then there might be still more left. But if we've already taken out 818 and gone on a run into the pre-market, that might be a signal that we should maybe give ourselves some pause and let this thing come back in first before we start trading it.
Okay. Really good stuff there on SISI. While you were talking 13, this thing did move through the VWAP, but it stopped.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It stopped right where it had found resistance earlier in the morning. So we'll see if we get another opportunity here in SISI Shineco. All right, next on the list here is going to be PPCB. This is Propank Biopharma. This thing had a rough couple of days. We had a big pop here on Monday morning. Actually had a kind of big pop here on Monday morning, and we bled all those gains back, basically round trip the entire move. Now this morning we're popping a little bit here. Let's go to the news here. There was something on this. So yesterday in the morning, we had announces that it closed its public offering and uplisted to NASDAQ. We got more SEC forms on that in the after hours yesterday. And today, we're actually seeing it trade there, up 34.6%. Take a quick look at the short interest here. I've got nothing on this, 0.02% of the float shorted as of the last read. Take a look at this. On average, it trades 1.5 million shares. Today, we've traded 10 million, floats 11.6 million. Propank Biopharma, I can't recall this one. This is a development stage healthcare company that focuses on developing new cancer treatments for patients suffering from pancreatic, ovarian, and colorectal cancer. 3 really terrible forms of cancer. This is a pre-revenue biopharma, so we should definitely take a look at the financials. I'm sure 13 is going to do that here. You know what? I'm not even going to waste any more time. What do you got?
Just go to the financials. They're awful. I mean, at least what I can, the information that we have available doesn't look great. I mean, the last quarter they reported they lost $54 million. They have no money. So.
I love how you just laughed at that. That might be one of my favorite things right there.
Well, it's funny. Hey, we just uplisted. We're going to be on awesome stock that's publicly traded. We have no money, and we've lost a lot of it. So I didn't dive too deep into this one, but yes, they just got uplisted to the NASDAQ. It doesn't seem like they have a whole lot of cash. I looked at their pipeline. It's very young. I mean, this thing it has basically 2 drug pipelines right now, PRP and POP1. The first one, PRP, that's still in preclinical stages, and the other one is in research. So there's a lot of, we're not even into the phase trials yet with this, and they're going to have to raise capital in order to do that. My thought here is just be very, very careful with this one. I don't know how good or bad it's going to be. We can lean on the technicals to get an idea of where this might go, but there's nothing fundamentally driving this, in my opinion. So you just have to be very careful with this. Be in, be out. Say thank you and move on, that kind of thing.
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yep, that's the other way to say it. So, but I can tell that just looking at this 5-minute chart here that since we lost VWAP after the impulse move that took us up to 623, it's been having a hard time recapturing that VWAP. So if that continues into the open, that'll be fine. We'll just not even worry about this one and let it just wait until it's actually starting to show that it's going to take out VWAP and start to recapture some of those higher levels above 5.
Okay. Really good stuff there. PPCB. You also reminded me of a great Pulp Fiction quote there when you said that's another way to say it. That's one way to say it. Another way to say it is that it was thrown out. And another way to say it is it was thrown out by Marcellus because of you. Yeah. So, okay. Anyway, enough fun there. All right. Next on the list here is going to be Trib. Looks like this is actually moving right now. So you probably didn't cover this 13, and that's okay. Trib ripping here, moving from 141 right up just shy of 2. It kind of stopped there. Now we're estimating earnings for 2 weeks from now. So September 2nd before the market opens. This is unconfirmed by the company, but based on its prior history, this is what Benzinga is estimating, so keep that in mind. Let's see if there was any news here on this. Indeed, it actually looks like we just got a PR here, which is why it's moving. Regulatory approval granted for commencement of Trinity Biotech's offshored and outsourced manufacturing of its flagship rapid HIV test, facilitating strategic and financial performance transformation. So it looks like they have a rapid HIV test, getting some news about that. It's popping the stock here. Quick look around the horn on TRIB. 2.71% of the float shorted there, and that is on 1.68 days to cover. That comes on an average volume of 4.35 million. Today we've traded 3.5 million. The float on this is 13.6 million. 13. I know we've traded Trib here before. You think there's an opportunity today?
We traded this, I believe, on Friday when you weren't here. That's at least what my chart is reminding me about. Now, we may have traded this much earlier, like last year, because I'm looking at the levels I have marked off. That's usually the indicator that we've been in this and looked at this before. The last time that we actually ended up hitting any of these levels was back on the 14th, which was Thursday. So I don't really know how great this is going to be. It's every time it gets up to this over 3, it just comes right back in when we open the regular session. If we look to the left, we can get some idea of where this might go. It looks like okay, so we're almost at 2. Looks like we're trying to get over or into some more restrictive resistance above 2 at like 215 is when it really starts to kick in, it seems. And then there's a lot of concentration to chew through, further up into 2, going up into 3. So I don't know that how well this is going to trade. It seems like it's going to have a hard time once it gets to about 215, 220. But if it goes higher, then we can use some of these levels that we marked off earlier. Looks like 275 is going to be one, 315, 350, and 4. So that's what I'd be looking at here if we manage to get this going again. Just look at what happened on Thursday. This thing will pop and then it'll come right back in and that'll be it. So just be careful if you're going to trade this one, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Really good stuff there on Trib. And I actually, this was when I was flying. I didn't participate in Trib at all on that. So, okay. Really good stuff here. Next, we have RCKT, not to be confused with RKT. This is Rocket Pharmaceuticals, not Rocket the mortgage company. Rocket Pharmaceuticals shares are trading higher after the FDA lifted a clinical hold on its pivotal phase 2 trial for A501. 13, you'll have to tell me what that drug was for. I can't exactly remember. Quick look here at the short interest, 20.27% of the float shorted here, and that comes on 3.02 days to cover. Now, look, I know the days to cover is slightly under our 5 threshold that we like for, quote, high short interest. I still think that this short interest is pretty elevated here, and maybe we do see a little bit of a squeeze effect. Now, will it last for multiple days? I don't know about that. On average, we trade 4.7 million shares. Today, we've traded twice that already in the pre-market. Float on this is 55.5 million. So I could see this having a little bit of a squeeze here, but I'm not sure that we're going to see one of these massive squeeze runs. We'll have to take a look and see how this actually trades here today. 13, what do you think on this one, on the FDA lifting the hold?
I'm trying to find more information on their clinical trials, but their website wasn't that helpful, and I'm not going to spend more time on it.
Sure.
But when the FDA says, yeah, you can go ahead and continue on with your phase 2 trial that we stopped you on, and that's typically good news because it's probably still costing them even with the clinical hold on it. So I guess let's look at their finances and see how they're. That looks okay. I mean, they don't have a great cash position, but their short-term investments, they could likely make that more liquid to take care of their cash burn. They burn over 60 million in cash every quarter, so it doesn't look like they're going to need to do a capital raise anytime soon. It doesn't mean that they won't, but it seems like they have the cash on hand in order to keep going for the time being. Another thing of interest is their short interest. Over 20% of the float shorted 3 days to cover. That's down from the last read of 23% of the float shorted with 4.5 days to cover. So it seems like shorts are covering. So we may end up getting a little bit more short covering as well. So let's take a look here at the chart on RCKT. And looks like we're trading up into an ascending triangle in the pre-market here. We had this initial move up at 705. That took us up to 392, backed off, and then we've been steadily trying to get back up there, kind of forming a triangle in the process. So I think if we can get above what looks to be about 380, 385, we may be able to go on and take out that 392 and get into the 4 handle. We're going to need to see an expansion of volume, and we're going to need to see that area get hit pretty hard and taken out. So this could. What's the float? I didn't look at the float actually. The float's a little bit heavy, 55 million shares. So might not be a massive, big breakout move like the stocks we were trading yesterday. We saw with those, but it could just be like a big. It could be like a move over that resistance, and then it starts to grow legs. So in any event, this looks like it's trading up into a bullish pattern. So we'll just have to see what we end up getting towards the open, or what happens at that 380, 385 area, because that does seem where the resistance is.
Okay. Brand new hip hop. You need to take a chill pill, dude. So we are not going to cover Hertz before the market opens. Actually, Hertz is on the list, and I'm almost there. So just chill. And then also, Sergeant Sexy, I see this every day. I'm always watching Wazowski. I don't think I know what this reference means. You'll have to let me know. Okay, really good breakdown there on RCKT. The next one here is AUUD. This is another one that we've traded quite a bit here. This is Audia. Audia shares are trading higher after the company announced it has made premium AI features free on Phaser and is pivoting to monetize artists with new Discover radio platform. Okay. Great. This popping the stock up to 320 basically had a dollar pop here. Stock is holding by plus 25%. Take a look at the short interest here. 4.77% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of 858,000 shares. Today we traded 26.3 million. Float here is a small 1.14. I think this is why this stock is always kind of appealing to our group when it comes up. But that's what's going on here. 13. What do you think? Oh, okay. So that's from Monsters Inc. Yeah, I wouldn't know anything about those kids' movies, so that makes sense. Okay, thank you. Carry on, 13.
Yeah, so I think this is kind of timely to see these headlines, because what did I just send you like overnight that was kind of frustrating us? It was these car companies starting to charge for different features like horsepower features, and I see this, they're using their premium AI features for free. So this is the opposite direction. This is the direction we'd like our consumer products to go. Not where we're nickel and dime for every little extra feature that they come out with, Oh,
you want to go off? You want to? Do you want? Maybe we'll save that for a little bit later.
We can save that for later, but man, I mean, I could feel your blood starting to boil when I was reading your response, because this is getting out of hand.
It's getting out of hand, yeah.
But anyway, back to Audia.
Sorry.
No, that was kind of me going on a tangent. So I guess this is they're not going to be making more money off a free feature. But it seems like this is going to try to draw more folks onto their platform. So maybe there's a future revenue angle on this. Now, let's look at the financials and see if they actually are making any money. It doesn't look like they're making much. Not losing a whole bunch either, but they're losing more than they have on the balance sheet. So that's a little concerning. Maybe there's some kind of capital raise coming, or they're going to report some kind of revenue increase that takes care of that. But in any event, they don't have the cash to cover their cash burn rate. So I would think that maybe an offering could be coming here. And that would make sense with how low their float is, 1.14 million shares. Yeah, that's something you would definitely see, something that a company like this would be able to do a capital raise into without making their share structure too heavy. So something that could happen. I see that they have some other filings here. I haven't gone through those, so maybe there's something in there about their capital or their cash position. But in any event, I'm only going off what I can see. Moving to the chart, we are trading beneath the VWAP. We've like you said, we have traded this before. Yep. It looks like 295 was the level that we had kept an eye on before, and we seem to have a lot of concentration in that area so far this morning. We did find resistance at about 3 earlier. Ended up breaking through it at about 650 and going up onto 325 before coming back in. Have not been back there since, and it looks like we still may end up going lower into this pre-market and probably even lower into the regular session. Next areas of support that I'm going to be keeping an eye on are going to be that 65 EMA on the 5-minute. That's at 263, and beneath that as well, the 200-day SMA, 200 EMA on the 5-minute, which is at 247. Those two EMAs actually line up pretty well with some support and resistance levels that we were getting early on with this price action in the morning. So that's what I would be looking at for the downside. We get some support from there. We might have our setup to start having this thing turn up and going on to move and try and recapture VWAP again.
Okay, good breakdown there. AUUD. We'll see if we get a trade here on Audia. All right, brand new hip hop. Don't slit your wrists. We're gonna get to it. Here comes Hertz. What's that?
Jeez.
You know exactly where that's from. That's a Grandma's Boy reference. I'm actually a tad disappointed because you've been on top of that one, but that's a Grandma's Boy reference. We'll let that one go. Hertz shares are trading higher after the company announced it will sell certified used cars on Amazon Autos. Let me just, before we break down the chart here, is there anyone that is interested in buying a used car on Amazon? Is also knowing that it was previously a rented car and was probably had the hell beaten out of it? That's just right off the top. That's the one thing I can't necessarily get past right away. I'm going to try and keep an open mind, but nonetheless, this is what's driving the stock higher. You actually saw an impulse move from 5 to 6. We pulled back here. Now we've recaptured the VWAP. It certainly looks like a move to 6, and the recent highs is on deck here on this. Let me see if there was anything else with this that we should go over.
I'll say if the price is good enough, I probably would do it, but it's got to be a good bargain because I know where these cars are coming from, and a lot of them, I'm assuming, are probably going to be EVs.
Okay, first of all, we have the CEO here. So Kenneth Hertz is here to answer any of your direct questions that we have. Thank you, Kenneth, for making yourself available. It's quite nice of you. The reactions to this, visceral. Lion says, yes, he would buy this. Zane says no. Gary, no. C-Dub, no. Empyrean calls it a Temu car. Michelle says, LOL, hell no. Okay. F no. We've got a no. We got a big no here from Bharat. I don't think we have anyone here that says yes.
I'd say yes. It has to be the price has to be right, and for me, it's got to be an ICE. It's got to be an ICE vehicle.
Okay.
I don't want an EV from
Got
Hertz.
it. Digital Dino here doing his absolute best to try and get under my skin here, but it just won't happen. Ryan wants a beat up Prius. Ryan would take the heel toe express everywhere he goes before he drives a Prius. I'll just throw that out there right now. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to.
There's some good takes here, like Joseph, like cheap first automobile for your kids. Sure, yeah,
yeah,
and it's kind of like that.
So I'm trying to make a joke here. I'm trying to just kind of have fun with the story, but you're right here. The other thing is that buying a vehicle like this, the insurance probably isn't going to be that bad. This is actually a perfect entry vehicle for someone that's just getting their license or something like that. So that makes a lot of sense.
That's a good point, Workout. That's a good point. I mean, I don't know if that's how it works, but if they are selling certified, it might come with a warranty.
Yeah,
I don't know, but that might be the case.
Well, so certified pre-owned CPO cars, they're pretty good. I have heard some horror stories with them, but I've also heard more good than bad. If they come with a warranty, that probably makes it a little bit more appealing, right? Yeah, and guys, Tara says I love my Prius. Look, I'm not here to criticize someone else's decision. I don't care what car you drive. If it gets you from point A to point B, that's great. For me, for someone that loves cars, loves going fast, and is a better driver than 99% of the people out there, the Prius at the other end of that scale, not a comment on you or anything, just a comment on my own personal view of that particular car. I'm sure it's a good car. Okay.
I want that red-lined one, Wadib. Give me that one then, because I know it'll perform.
Okay. Well, there you go. There is Hertz. Was there anything else? We got 6 minutes here. Was there anything else on this list that you wanted to cover? Tivik was another one that was moving here. I don't know if we want to cover this.
It's up to you if you want to. I mean, I think this is something we looked at. Did we look at this yesterday or earlier this
Friday?
Week?
It was Friday because they had advanced. This is. I actually think we traded this on Friday. But anyway, Tivik receives 2 investigational new drug applications for its drugs for treatment of acute radiation syndrome and advanced cancers. That's what's driving this higher here today. It's actually pulled off the highs. Quick look at the short interest on this, 3.69%. And also that comes on 1.08 days to cover. Yeah, I don't think this is going to really squeeze. Floats $1 million though. So maybe there will be a trade here on Tivik.
Yeah, it certainly wouldn't hurt to keep some levels on your radar if this thing does start to move. So we do have that 422 high in the pre-market here. We have VWAP that it's trading beneath. Maybe this continues to sink a little bit more before it finds its footing. If that's going to be the case, it is coming down to some support from a couple of days ago. I would think that if this does come back in some more, you're probably going to get some better support around 325. But I would just, I'm not going to trade this one until I see some actual basing happening, and that might be occurring right now. But I'm still going to wait and see what we get out of the open.
Okay, good stuff. Tara says, my other car is a 1970 Eliminator. It would fit your wants. Yeah, that's that Mercury Cougar with the 4-speed. That thing. See, Tara, I get it. That's a sick car. Cool stuff there. Okay, let's go back to the chart tool. I do want to take a look at Carvana. Carvana, Home Depot, and Stratasys were asked about. We've got 5 minutes. We should be able to hit them all. We'll start with SSYS. This is a 3D printing company that Ryan took a big loss on because it didn't work. So I just, generally speaking, don't trust the company here. But the chart recently, it is indeed interesting. It is indeed interesting here. We're pulling off the recent bottom here of about $9, and we recaptured yesterday the 200-day moving average on a nice power candle with good buying volume. What did we have here? This morning, they announced the 2025 annual general meeting of shareholders. I didn't really see anything for news yesterday. Not really sure what's going on here. I did. So way back in the day, I did like their technology here, but they really couldn't get it going. The stock price doesn't reflect, I'm sure, what they're doing at the actual company. It just wasn't a good trade. It just wasn't a good trade. Had to take the loss and move on from that. It does look like we're getting rejected at the 50 here, so maybe we're going to be looking for a close above this 1087 level. Let's take a quick look at the short interest here. 1.9% of the float shorted with 2.62 days to cover. That comes on an average volume of 568,000 shares. We've only traded 108,000 shares here today, so not going to be one of the big movers here. And it does have a high float, just shy of 75 million. 13, do you see anything that you like here on the chart, or dislike, frankly, on the chart?
Yeah, I'm not sure about this because, they just had earnings and they're already, they guided lower. They cut its guidance, as a matter of fact. Company isn't, profitable, I don't believe. Let me double check here. They're not. And they have the float's a little bit on the heavier side. It's not over 100 million, but it is close to 75 million. And I honestly don't know how much upside you're going to get. I do see a little trend line that we can draw and kind of imply that there's going to be some, resistance at that area. That's going to give it about, 1125, 1130 that it's going to hit that trend line. So I just don't know. I mean, what's happening in the annual shareholder meeting that's so great? I
don't know.
So I don't know. So I guess unless I spent more time, looking into what's going on in that with that meeting or what's being said, I really can't say what to make of this. Just focus on that trend line. If we start to break over it, maybe it runs up to the to 1150 or higher. But if we can't get above it, then it's probably going to end up losing these simple moving averages like the 50, the 20, the 500 and the 200, which are all pretty close to each other in the 10 handle.
Okay, real quick here before the open. Sorry, I'm rushing. Carvana, this was also asked about. Carvana is actually kind of interesting. We were at the top end of this broadening formation that we had drawn the last time we took a look at Carvana. And today it's actually down 6% on the back of that news that Hertz will offer it to sell its certifies used cars on Amazon. So it seems like this is just more competition for a company like Carvana, and probably going to get some of those newer drivers into the market here. Carvana plunged on the news, actually set a new low here in the pre-market. I'd be looking for some more downside here on Carvana, number one. On top of that, our daily chart shows us that we're really kind of coming in from this trend line here. The price today, we've lost the 50-day. I think we can come in a little bit more here on Carvana, as we always do. Check in on the short interest, 10.52% of the float shorted with 3.59 days to cover. Wouldn't worry about the volume. It's got a huge float. It's going to trade the volume that it normally does today anyway. What you got any thoughts here on Carvana?
With the 15 seconds that I have left, the thing that I would prefer to see today is if this opened and tried, because it looks like it's going to gap down at the open. If we manage to fill that gap up to the 50-day SMA and then reverse, I think that'd be some pretty interesting and good price action. We are open.
Okay. Sounds good. Tucker here saying, could you let us know any short-term trades you're getting into today? We can, but just as a reminder here, the show is not for like a trading service that you follow or anything like that. That's not how it's supposed to be used. We are really focusing on you making your own decisions here. It's one of the reasons why it's why we do the things the way that we do. The other thing is that some of these trades that we do are literally so quick that if we're telling you, okay, I'm in this, and then very quickly we're selling it because we're just scalping it, what good is that for you? We can definitely try to do this. We normally focus on swing trades and investments that we talk about like this. Day trading, really quick trading, a lot of that you're going to have to do on yourself, boss.
Yeah, just kind of looking at NBY, for example, we talked about the trend line that we think this might run up to. 119 is the pre-market high, so we got to get over that. And we're currently dealing with VWAP right now. There's a seller in the way that's we're trying to have these traders chew through here. It's about 25,000 shares that we got to get through right now at 113. But once we do, we should be able to test that 119 area and maybe even higher. So that's one thing we're looking at right now. SI, that is already down out of the gate, so it wasn't looking great. This seems like if it doesn't get support at about here at about 705, I'd be looking at the 65 EMA, which is down around 664 as the next support area. PPCB that tried to pop over VWAP, came right back in.
Real quick here. Let me just jump in while you keep running that down. No comment on the UNH trade. Marcus, what are you what do we miss? I don't know what you're referring to here. We can absolutely talk about UNH if you want, but anyway, 13, keep going.
Okay, so PPCB, it's still trying. You can see that there's a seller in the way at 510. Trib, that lost its VWAP. Rocket broke out of that ascending triangle. 410 is now the high. Some sellers in the way at 415 and 422. This thing is coming back in a little bit, but we did get that move over the highs and then move out of that ascending triangle. So let's see if we can lean on $4 or just beneath that, and around like 390 as some support area if we do come back in. AUDD, that's down. TIVIC kind of sideways. That's about all that's happening right now that I can see, except NBY still trying to get past those sellers around the 313, 315 area.
Okay, good stuff there. Also, really quick here. Oh gosh, I just had it on my screen and I lost my train of thought. What did I miss here? Darn it. I had something on the tip of my tongue and then I got a message from one of my coworkers and I forgot it. Sorry about that. If it's important, I'm sure it'll come back.
Yeah, this is kind of oh, here we go. Now we're starting to get a little bit of move in NBY, but it's not breaking out yet. 119 still the high. SSI, that seems to be getting bid back up, trying to recapture VWAP. Getting RCKT to come back in.
Big seller there, 115 on NBY. Was that the spot that you were looking to clear out there?
Yeah, that area right there.
Oh, I remember.
Still trying to clear them out.
I remember what I was supposed to tell you folks here. The results of our poll. So, nice. Yes. Do you think Open is a meme stock? 69% of you said yes, and 30% of you said no. So it looks like 2/3 of the group do think Open here is still a meme stock. By the way, we are above that 115 now in NBY, slowly ticking up back down to 150. Okay, NBY, this is going here. Tuna, good morning, says it could go. See if it does. I'd like that closer to the VWAP, frankly. I wouldn't want to chase this, even though it's only a couple of pennies.
Smoke Tuna.
All right, 13. I'm going to be right back. 1 sec.
Okay. So Smoke Tuna also mentioning PPCB. That's climbing back over its VWAP. Still have that seller in the way at 510. Take him out, and we may end up seeing, let's see here, might see 540 after that. And BY still trying to push higher. They got some other sellers in the way at 118 right now, trying to make its way to 120. And SSI $7 dip. Rocket looks RCKT Rocket looks nice. Might go to 6. That'd be awesome. Looks like it's coming back in though after hitting that 410. So we're back inside that area where the ascending triangle is, and this is coming back in even further. Might find some support around 350. We'll see if that ends up happening. RCKT. Looks like there's a lot of polling happening across all these movers. Not the greatest open here so far, but NBY is still holding above VWAP. Let's see this take out 120. Come on now.
NBY?
Mm-hmm. Waiting for that to move through the pre-market high. It's hitting it right now. And I want to see it go. There we go. 120, new high. And I still want to see it get up to our trend line here. That would take it, if we get it in this candle, that would take it to about 137. SQQQ continues to trend up. Hey, as tech starts to weaken, we're going to see the SQQQ do pretty well, and it's probably going to provide some good trades. SQQQ, anti-QQQ, probably going to provide some pretty good ones. Let's go NBY. Come on. And we're getting higher now, 123 and NBY continuing to grind up. SISI came down almost to the 65 EMA, trying to get bid back up. PPCB, this thing is leaking all the way down to the pre-market lows following their impulse move.
NBY took out that pre-market high. This was a slow grinder higher. I actually didn't get this, but good stuff on the group. You guys already hooked one here, and this one not too volatile, so it should have been a little bit easier to trade.
Yeah, I still would like to see that hit the top of that trend line that we drew on this one. That'd be great spot to trim, take profit, do whatever you want. But I do like the top of that trend line there. So we need to see if we get that. Also, probably just to protect yourself might be an idea is to at least put your stop at your entry just to protect yourself. It's one of the things I'm doing. SISI, that's trying to come up off of the 65 EMA. It didn't quite touch it, but it's trying to recover here. Still beneath VWAP, so not really looking to take any trade in that one yet, if I do at all. TRIB, this thing is now facing its third red candle. So let's see what happens at about 165, 166. Maybe it starts to turn around. It's beneath its VWAP right now. Had some pretty awful selling coming into the open here. So let's see if we can get a base established before we take a trade here. Might be down to 160 too. So, all right.
Smoke Tuna saying NBY could go to 180. That would be a monster trade. 60 cents from where it is right now. That would be huge.
AUUD.
Sorry, really quickly. Big bear hug. Kevin will be joining us again on Friday. Kevin will be filling in for me on Friday. Yeah, I don't necessarily want too many people on the show at all time. Otherwise, it's going to be too hard to follow.
AUD had a big turnaround, green candle taking out VWAP.
Oh, yeah, it did.
Now we're coming up to that 295 area I mentioned earlier. We're getting through it. Big seller at $3. Chew him up. Chew him up.
Palo Alto straight up out of the gate here today. Costco, same deal. Netflix, same deal. Tesla, same deal. And in fact, Palantir, I'm seeing mixed options on Palantir, both puts and calls here. This trading up. Someone else mentioned VKTX. Open was straight up out of the gate. VKTX 13. Do you have any thought here about this still being a potential takeover target?
Oh, geez.
Because I'm just wondering if that's going to be something that we should kind of trade for. You could probably do that with calls pretty easily.
Okay, give me 1 second. I just want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, all good.
With AUD, it's still looking. It's got its eye on $3. They just reloaded to the 296 area with some more sellers. So they are trying to defend. The bears are trying to defend this area. They're getting kind of chewed up though. Let's see if there's enough volume with the bulls to take them out. Meanwhile, NBY still trying to push higher than 125. Nice to see that we got that print, but it is coming back in a little bit. Still want to see that trend line tested though. And give me 1 second. I'll take a look at VKTX.
Yeah, all good here. Wiss asking, what is the short interest here on NBY? Let me pull that here for you, Wiss. Actually just scalped VKTX right there real quick. Wis, your short interest for NBY here, negligible, bro. 0.66. That's 0.66%. So less than a percent. And 1 day to cover here on volume that should easily be traded here today. I think it's negligible, to answer your question, the short interest.
Would for VKTX, would the interest in the company be the products that they're working on that just didn't have the greatest results?
Yeah, or the technology behind those products. My thought here is Lily looks at the results and thinks, you know what, they're on to something. We can do it better, but we need access to the proprietary technology that they have.
I guess I could see that angle, but I don't know if that's, if they're going to shell the cash out for that. I really don't know, to be honest.
No, fair. That's totally fine. And this, I think, is what the battle is here. One of the reasons that I'm asking 13 is because I actually had a story today, and I'll give this to you if you want to go through it. There's basically Wall Street is on both sides of this. Raymond James had a ridiculous price target here, 129 price target. That's 100 points from where it's at right now, saying that there's impressive placebo adjusted weight loss. They're basically saying that the data is not as bad as it looks on the surface. The $64,000 question here is, though, what kind of premium is going to get paid? And I know the other reason that I'm bringing this up is because when we first started talking about VKTX, a takeover target was part of the thesis. And I'm just wondering if that part of the thesis is completely gone or not.
Those people that are AUD is trying to push up to the pre-market high of 326. By the way,
got it.
The question I would have is those folks that are saying that it's worth more, they it's going to get taken over. Are they already in it?
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I don't know. That's a very fair point. 13, a very fair point.
Yeah, I think that they'd probably be saying that if they have a significant exposure to it, because they don't want to get hit hard by this now. If they're in it and they say that they're buying more down here, then maybe there's something of interest. But if they're just trying to push this thing, it's worth more, and they're not disclosing how much they have or if they're actually in it, then I guess I'd be a little more skeptical of that.
All right. I'm in it, but I'm not looking for a takeover. So that would be basically a bonus, Brian, if you got taken out and you just woke up to a 40% premium in the morning. Lion, take care of yourself. Sounds like you're still on vacation. All right, Marcus here. Sell the September UNH 280 puts at 480. So is this the trade that you were asking about that we didn't comment on earlier? So you're basically selling puts here. So you're hoping to get put to the stock if it goes down to 280. I shouldn't say that. You're okay with getting put to the stock if it comes into 280. And then also, sorry, 13, really quickly here on AUUD, which we're currently watching. Tuna thinks this one can go, but you want to pull back. Tuna, what if this pulled back to 288 and held VWAP? To me, that seems like a load zone. Sorry, 13.
No, it's okay. We were talking about UNH and whether or not it can go under 300. We were just talking about this yesterday in happy hour, and we did. I mentioned that if we just go to a smaller time frame and you look at the price action over the past few days, that gave us the gap up over the 50-day SMA. You're going to find a number of levels that you can identify, to trade on to the downside. If you do believe this is coming back underneath 300, I think it's going to certainly has a good shot of going underneath 300, probably down to I think yesterday, I think they said 290 was a potential area. So I do think that we are going to get a little bit of pullback. I would think that the 50-day SMA holding up would be a very good sign and set up for a breakout over the trend line that we've drawn in UNH. You probably still have up there. So I think that's what would probably be one of the better case scenarios, just a little bit more cooling off of UNH, support from the 50-day SMA, and then a breakout over our trend line that we've had up there for several days now.
Okay, got it. I'm actually trying to go to UNH here. That did come into VWAP. Tuna says 285, which is pretty much right where it's at, and 265 will be your load zones there. AUUD. We'll see if we get that here. See if we get a move higher. Here's the UNH chart. Looks like it is holding 300 here. I am going to focus on AUUD for right now because if we make another run towards 3, maybe this pops again and tries to take out those highs. Y'all folks, let me know if you're loading here. AUUD.
Nasty sellers at Bharat would like to see the trend line for UNH if you could show him.
Yeah, let me go back to that here while we wait AUUD out.
And James, I think that's going to be a great long hold for you because UNH, I do believe it's going to be better down the line, and it's going through a bit of a rough time right now. So I think you'll be pretty good later on, like in months or years later. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the trend line that we talked about, I have it on my other chart, but it's this one right here. It's basically, and this is what we need to clear out. I would agree with you. We definitely need to clear this out first before we have a higher move here on UNH.
Yeah. And then looks like we're getting NBY to come back in some more. Let's see where this finds support. Might happen here. Might happen a little bit lower, down around 106, 107. But if you get down to this 65 EMA, I would think that that's going to be a bit concerning because we don't want this to go to $1.
Okay, and here
CIG going to $1 yesterday, and that didn't turn out too well. What's up?
And here we go. It's still pulling. Barat, let me know, what's your plan for UNH? So, and if I didn't go to the trend line, oh no, did I took it off? No, dude. Oh no, I'm so sorry. I hope you guys caught this when I ended up missing this because I took it. We'll see if it comes back into that load zone. I'll keep AUUD. I tried my best to keep it on screen for you guys while we were talking about other stuff. Sorry about that. Nice little quick pop to 3 there. So far, it's holding above the VWAP.
Yeah, and I still think that we want to maybe exercise a little bit of caution with AUD. It looks like it's doing pretty well, but I'm just not liking the way that these wicks are showing up here over the past 10 minutes, and this will be the the next set of next wick here if we do end up printing one. Let's say that this current candle closes underneath 295. I think that might be a signal here that we need to maybe wait a little bit longer for AUD.
Okay. Sideshow asking about Ondas. Yeah, look, I know you're asking how low can it go? I mean, honestly, I don't know what the answer to that is for you. This has actually kind of been, like I was trying to say yesterday, when you have a stock that's got a whole bunch of like thin twit flippers in it, you're going to get action like this. If we take a look at the daily, there's just no sugarcoating it. This is kind of a rough pullback here. Now, we did pull back. I've got this right at the 15 EMA on the daily, and I have the 21 EMA below this at 315. These would be two of those levels. Realistically, though, I definitely want this to hold on to 3. However, this is one of the reasons why we talked about making sure that you sell part of this, because we've actually seen this before. Remember, the last time this thing ran to 3.5, it went all the way back to 70 cents. And while I don't think that's going to happen this time, clearly, we're in a pullback here. Ondas actually had news this morning, too. Safe Pro Group announces an $8 million private placement, including strategic investment from drone industry leaders Ondas Holdings and Unusual Machines to accelerate artificial intelligence growth.
Looks like NBY is getting a little bit of a reversal off the 65 EMA. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
It's totally fine. I'll actually go to NBY. Zach here also, Ondas, look for the offering price at 325. I should have thought of that myself. Good call there, Zach. Good call. Okay, let's go to NBY.
Looks like some of these are starting to turn back up here. NBY, it might be one of them. SISI, that's starting to put in some wicks to underneath these candles. So that might be an indication that we're getting some bears to help lift this thing up. Need to see it kind of hold above the VWAP, though. I don't want this to
break down,
rip our faces off. Yeah. Sorry,
go ahead. No, I was waiting for you to finish. Go ahead.
It is also going to mention that PPCB seems to be trying to turn around. It's working on recapturing its VWAP as well.
Also, you guys, Amazon. Marcus is mentioning Amazon's down 1.43%. Izzy, where are you at? Is this a scalp buy level here on the Amazon pullback, or might we see more? I ask because I see Apple already pulled back to 227 and looks like it's bouncing, but we're still seeing active pullbacks in PayPal, Goldman Sachs, Tesla, Amazon, NBIS, Palo Alto pulled off its highs. Rocket still pulling back here today. So let me know if we have a scalp opportunity coming on Amazon on this pullback. And also AUUD. I can believe it because Tuna does this all the time. But AUUD here, did we pull all the way back to that load zone? Not quite. Did we get to 265?
We got to the 65 EMA.
Oh, yes, we did. Smoke Tuna, dude.
And those upper shadows, they didn't lie. They were telling you right there that there was some weakness coming. And sure enough, we got that pullback that he was talking about.
Really quickly, Izzy says on Amazon, I'm waiting for the market. Okay, interesting. So it looks like you're looking for the market to maybe show signs of a turnaround. Then we'll try Amazon for the bounce. Izzy, I like it.
SISI is looking a little bit better. There's a big seller in the way at 750, but this is starting to come back up here. Looks like there's going to be, 750 does have the resistance area too on the chart. So that 750 area, if we can get through that, we might be able to see an 8 print in SISI.
And Big Bees had mentioned that the market is struggling at the pre-market low. We're basically right there right now. Watch for this to break and go lower.
PPCB, that's recaptured its VWAP as well. It's the volume isn't as great as it was out of the open here. It's been dwindling, but we are coming up to an area where there's a seller guarding any more progress into the 5 handle. That's at 505 that he's camped out at. Need to see a lot more volume to take him out, and if we do, then we might shoot up very quickly to 520 as a result of taking out that 505 seller.
Jane says the Jane Smith index looks pretty bad these days. Red, and more red. Jane, I'm sorry for laughing, but your comment actually has some humor in there. Hopefully that turns around. Remember, it could just be a short-term little disturbance. Like Ray mentioning that Nvidia. So I had mentioned this earlier when we were kind of taking a look at the market breakdown earlier. We took a look at the Qs. We took a look at Nvidia, what it looked like on the daily chart in terms of it coming in. Nvidia, more selling pressure. This is all selling volume. Nvidia 171. That makes me want to check on Palantir because this was one of the other stocks that we had talked about. Look at this, Palantir still rolling over to the lows. Jay Rice, shout out to you for the comment on Anne Marie's put butterfly or the put trade here on Palantir. That is paying. I'm glad to see that you're getting paid. Ring that register, baby. PLTZ, that's your inverse ETF. Crows on that one. Love it.
After 171, if Nvidia loses that support area, then you have the 50-day SMA beneath it at 165.59. That looks like it's gonna. If it doesn't get there today, it looks like it could get there tomorrow.
Okay. Let's take a look at VKTX. How are we doing on that? Okay, so that pulled off of that little pop there. Well, I think scalping is probably the way to go, at least for now on that. Hertz, this is giving back its pre-market pop. Wonder if Amazon keeps going with that. How about Carvana? We saw that move down on this news headline. What's Carvana doing? Carvana looks like it's going to retest the pre-market low, maybe go lower.
I want to look at one of the. Okay, so here's another thing that. I was just curious because it's a competitor to Hertz, but Avis Budget Group is down over 6% today. I don't believe it's on the same news, although it could be. But it seems like they've got a a downgrade and a price target lower, and that's probably what's hitting it. This chart doesn't look that great either. Looks like we have a date with 132 coming in the ticker CAR.
Here is your Avis chart.
Yeah, the daily chart doesn't look very good at all, and I've got some levels marked off here because it was a resistance area previously. So 132 and 124 are areas I've got marked off, and interestingly, we have the 500-day SMA right beneath that 124 level. So I'm thinking that the price is going to end up coming down there. Once it gets down in that range, they might find some better support, and okay. It'll be pretty oversold at that point as well. It's already got a 32 RSI.
Okay, so real quick here, I think it was Tucker, whoever was asking earlier about announcing entries here. All I've done here today is I scalped VKTX so far. It was in and out on that morning push there. There was really no levels or anything to call out. Otherwise, have taken no new trades here yet today. I'll let you know. Again, I will try some of these that are going to be very quick. We might not have time for that, but I will try. No new swing trades, no adjustments to investments here around the open. RCKT, maybe this is turning around. Let's see if this moves through VWAP. NBY struggling right at VWAP at 111.
Yep. And TRIB is also trying to get back over its VWAP as well.
THAR right at VWAP. And actually, you know what? The volume expansion looks pretty good on THAR if this continues here. Maybe it goes through that VWAP.
Last time
There it is.
Last time
Through
I
the
had
VWAP
volume,
by a penny. Sorry, 13.
last time I had volume like this was back in October of 2024. It ended the day red.
So the last time you traded Thar, it finished red?
No, the last time that Thar had volume like this.
Ah, got you.
It ended the day red. It opened higher, like way higher, like around 570. And it had one of those, pops that took it over 6, and then it just sold off the rest of the day.
Smoke Tuna says AUUD is at the loading zone right here, 275. So what do we think, Tuna? Move back to the VWAP next here at 287 and then maybe a move higher? What do we think we're going to get on Audia, AUUD?
Well, the price action suggests that we could end up getting above the VWAP, but it's going to be what happens in the early in the 3 handle, whether or not those sellers can get taken out. You can see that 306, 308. That was that area right there, running into a bunch of resistance. If we get back up there, I would think that we need to see a big volume expansion in order to go higher. Otherwise, we're going to probably end up seeing this similar fate that happened about 10, 15 minutes ago.
Okay. We'll see if we end up getting that. AUUD. I'm not in this, by the way. So we've had enough time here. I'm not in this yet. I don't know that I trust it, even though it's got the Tuna blessing. I don't even want to say I'm going against Tuna. I really don't.
And NBY doesn't look like it's going to be able to hold at 65 EMA. We'll see if that if I'm wrong or right about that. It's currently trying to get some support from it, but the more that this EMA gets hammered, the more concerned I am that it's not going to hold up. So we'll see if it can reverse here, and if it doesn't, and it doesn't reverse and go on to recapture its VWAP, then I think the next visit might be a pretty fatal one for NBY.
Thar here, this did push above its VWAP. It's not ripping yet, but it's holding so far above its VWAP.
Looks like Rocket Pharmaceuticals, RCKT, is trying to get back up to VWAP, but I get the sense that there's just going to be a rejection coming. The volume's not great.
Big Bear Hug mentioning that Bitcoin is pounding lows. Indeed, Bitcoin pulled. So the futures here looks like it lost 113,500, pulled down to 112,500, and bounced there. We'll see if there's some more downside. Tesla has stopped its sell-off. PayPal has stopped its sell-off. Amazon has stopped its sell-off. And Apple has stopped its sell-off. Netflix looks like it's trying, but I wouldn't say that just yet on Netflix. And yeah, Zach, I know. Sorry, really quickly, Zach, I noticed that Ondis bounced right off the 325 price. In fact, that is exactly its day low here. We'll see if that offering price holds up.
And we have been getting a pretty weak market all week, and there's just hasn't been a lot of price action. The market's pretty much just waiting for what's going to go down at the economic symposium where Powell's due to speak on Friday. And that just seems like what we're just waiting for. Nothing else that really matters. Earnings haven't really moved markets. We got all the big ones out of the way anyway. So it's kind of just looking like we just need to wait and see what we get on Friday. There's also been this
then the Nvidia earnings next week, right?
Yeah, and then the Nvidia earnings next week. And there's also been a shift in the sentiment that we may be getting an end to the Ukraine-Russia war. Now, I'm not going to say that that's what's happening, but it seems like that's what markets are starting to price in, that we're going to get a peace agreement soon. I'm still a little skeptical. I need to see some more information. For me, I don't think that's happening quite yet, but it could have some pretty positive market implications if it does.
Okay, I'm with you on that. It's not a done deal till it's a done deal. Yep. Folks asking here, Gabe asking, will Palantir bounce? Yeah, we actually had a couple of Palantir targets earlier from the group. I'm sorry I don't remember all of them. But we were getting into one, I think. Yassine, was it 140 to 145 that you liked on Palantir? We took a look at that one. That actually lines up pretty well with a former resistance area. We're not far away from that, so I would say 140, 145 might be a decent bounce zone there for ticker PLTR Palantir.
I could see that being a support area. The troubling thing about today's price action is that we opened beneath the 50-day SMA. Tried to recapture it, failed, and now we're going lower. So I think that even if with that 145 support area, I'm not sure how long that's going to hold up. I think another area that we'd want to keep an eye on if we lose that 145 is going to be 125. That seems like that's going to be a little bit more of a robust support area based on the price action going back to earlier this year as well. Yeah, a lot of these things need volume, man. The volume is pretty low today. Everybody's just kind of waiting for that symposium. They want to see if we're actually going to be getting rate cuts or not.
Whole market pulled too, and it looks like it's trying to hold here. Really quick, just FYI, since we were talking about Palantir, one of the traders that I followed for over 10 years at this point. I've never met him, but sharp guy, also trades options. Palantir short-term bottom is in 147 zone. There's going to be a lower high next on Palantir, according to this person. Now, really quickly, if we take a look at the daily chart, I think what they're saying here is that we are going to bounce, but we're going to show a lower high, and that's going to confirm that we're still in a downtrend and might go lower. That's ticker PLTR, Palantir.
Okay, so he's just looking for a bounce. He's not saying we're going to go on to make new highs.
Correct, but he's looking for a tradable bounce there.
Okay. But he didn't really mention how high he thinks that bounce is going to go.
Nope. He just said it would make the end result would make a lower high. That's it in terms of an upside target, but is saying 147 is a bounce zone there. We'll see. No position for me on Palantir. No short-term position on Palantir.
Smokton is saying Rocket done for the morning. That's Rocket Pharmaceuticals, RCKT. This does look like it's got a bearish pattern that it's about to touch the 65 EMA on the 5-minute width. Might even go lower than that. I think he's right. It's not.
Hey, Thar, this was a good one. I think, Brent, you were on Thar here right when this came up to the VWAP. Smoke Tuna, you had announced that this was going from the VWAP. Indeed, Thar is now taking out its pre-market high. Crow's looking for 2 on Thar. I'm not in this one, unfortunately. Good stuff for you folks that are in Thar. I'm actually still kind of waiting for VKTX as well. I think that this actually could be a pretty liquid, pretty good trader here today. Here's your VKTX chart. Maybe we're going to trade back up here. Let me take a look at this.
And, PLTZ and PLTD have been great vehicles for trading Palantir to the downside. So if you're trying to do something with that, that might be a good spot to, or a good ticker to take a look at and see if it's something you want to trade.
Really quickly here, where are you? JPN saying Amazon, any take. It seems like the Amazon take here today is wait for the market to really kind of show that it's going to bounce. We are up off the lows. I guess tough to say if this bounce is going to continue here, but we're looking for maybe a scalp on Amazon if the market continues to bounce. Amazon so far up off the lows and has turned around, but I'm not sure that's done yet. Barat says market did an undercut low and reversing from 10 a.m. Yeah, Gary, I missed Thar too. It's okay though.
Yeah, 222 on Amazon. We'll see what happens there. It's got we got to close above that.
Okay. VKTX, I'd be more interested in that if it can move back above the VWAP. Right now, it's beneath it. It's kind of flirting with it, not showing the strength to get above it yet. I'd be more interested if it can show that strength. Michael's saying I'm in on PLTZ 773. So you're looking like you're trading Palantir to the downside here using the inverse ETF. That's what I would do too on that. Good job.
Nice. Looks like Trib is putting in new session lows, coming down to another support area from the pre-market PPCB. This is still trying to push higher on some pretty low volume. It's not up at the session high where we opened and went up to 520, but we are trying to get above 5. Our RCKT, there goes the 65 EMA. This thing's probably going to get locked down even further.
Okay.
TIVC, this thing also not having a great day. We'll see if the 200 can provide some support. AUUD also trying to get some support from the 65 EMA. We'll see if that holds. Not sure if it will.
VKTX just got slapped at its VWAP. They brought in a big seller there, 25.50, and drove it lower. This is what I was saying. It looks like it's trying to flirt with that level, but it cannot show the strength to get above and hold. Gary says, I don't love anything.
No, nothing looks great. He's right.
Marcus, I love these calls here, Marcus. Marcus selling the September 19th, September 19th Palantir 125 put. So again, same deal here, collecting the 275, okay to get put to the stock if it closes below 125. So 125, then I would say looks like a buy zone for you, if that's fair.
Maybe AUD, maybe, and that's a big maybe.
AUD still near the loading zone that Tuna called earlier. Now, I will say, now we start to have the opposite issue, right? We've got some of these bottom wicks showing that support is in. We had the upper wicks earlier that really caused the thing to sell off. Now we're getting some of those wicks on the bottom, which align to the impulse move off the open. If it can hold it here, maybe AUD goes.
The thing that's concerning for me with AUD is look at where the sideways price action about where we're at right now. That was in the pre-market. So from about 8:05 until the open, a lot of sideways price action, just orders getting stacked up in there. I'm sure it's going to have to chew through a lot of that if we're going to get back to a VWAP recapture. So it's going to. I think it's going to take more volume than this. If we're not going to get that volume, I think this loses the 65 EMA.
Okay, I like that. VKTX. So this did now get above the VWAP. Not in it yet. This did get above the VWAP. Looks like it's trying to hold above it now. Oh man, so now I'm in the problem where I've already scalped this once. I don't want to try it again and give it back.
PPCB, this is going on a run. It's now above the session. It made a new session high. Still a ways away from there being any higher than a pre-market, because that's all the way up at 623. But we are coming up to another high in the pre-market that was out 650, and the high there was 540. So 540 looks like the next area of resistance that we're going to have to take out in PPCB.
I thought I saw that there on my list, but I guess not. Let me pull it up manually here.
Looks like NBY is trying to defend that $1 area. Otherwise, if we lose that $1, this thing I'd probably just consider done for today. It's not looking great, but it's holding the dollar, so we'll see what we end up getting. PPCB right now looks like to be the best of the movers that we were looking at this morning, knocking on the door of that 540 that I just mentioned. Brat saying Palantir new lows 137 is next.
I'll tell you what, Barat, you've been all over that. I like that there, 140, or I like that there. I know I just said 147 from one of my buddies that I follow on X, but maybe not. Palantir 137, Barat says next. I'm trying to manage my nose here so I don't sniffle for you guys. Sorry.
All right. So, I mean, really, it just looks like PPCB is the only one that's really doing anything out of the movers list so far at the moment. Everything else has been either sideways or lower. But it is nice to see that Nvidia and Palantir are finally coming in because they really need it. Oh, look at Broadcom's also getting hit.
Yep, and so is ARM. So pretty much all the tech names, all the semis getting hit here. VIX now 17 almost, 1694 on the VIX.
All right, PPCB still is pushing higher. Now it's coming up to a bit of a consolidated area in the pre-market where there are probably going to be some bag holders because we haven't seen the price return here since this big drop at 520. So from about where we're at right now, this high at about 550 all the way up to, I'd say, 590. It's probably going to be a little bit rough for PPCB to try to push through it. It's still hitting it, though, so let's see what ends up happening here.
G-Man asking, Ryan and 13, do the technicals make any sense when we have strong selling? So, yes, I would say it definitely does. I would say the same thing here, though. You don't necessarily need to catch a falling knife or jump in front of momentum to the downside. But yeah, absolutely. Pay attention to those levels. See if the stock finds support at any of those levels, because you might even get a dead cat bounce trade opportunity there, let alone an actual good entry for a potential swing long. So I would say absolutely. And furthermore, 13, wouldn't you agree that the technicals have really kind of been holding up for us over the last several months, maybe most of this year? Technical trading has really given us a pretty good idea of where to go.
Well, they've certainly been working better than the fundamentals because the
fundamentals
just don't seem to matter right now. I mean, you have these things trading at ridiculously high valuations. They're finally, coming back down, but I think the technicals have held up much better than the fundamentals have over the past, half year at least.
Yeah, no question about that.
So to answer your question, I would say yes. Even the upside, downside, technicals will still matter.
Ondas, right back to that 325. Let's see if it holds. There's a huge bid there at 325 on Ondas. This is what bounced it last time. We're right back down there. We'll see if that holds. Definitely hope it does. Diane saying use the mute button for that. I am. I'm muting my microphone so you don't hear me, and then I'm moving off camera so that you don't see me. And my goal there is to try and not bring the sniffles to the stream here.
Really good stuff with PPCB. That hit a high of 565. Next candle now kind of backing off, but not breaking down. Still looks like there's a good chance this is going to try and chew through some of those sellers from about that area that I was mentioning. We were 550 to 590. Not breaking down yet, so still could take some of those sellers out. But great movement here in PPCB over that VWAP.
Also, new swing entry here. I'm actually going to take some right now. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm going to try to get filled here. We talked about some of these pot names, and we actually talked about this yesterday on Happy Hour. And we talked about some of the MSOS there. It does look like some of the traders rolled up to the October 10 call. And that call's pretty cheap, right? That call's 18-cent ask. I'm going to try and get filled on the 7 call. Didn't get anything there. I'm going to try and get filled on the 7 call. I'm going to bid 35 cents. That's MSOS, October 7 call, bidding 35. I'll let you know if I get filled.
Yeah, we talked about how this could be a pretty good trade. With Congress returning from their summer recess.
Yep.
Trump kind of hinting that we'll make a decision in a few weeks, which is kind of code for when Congress gets back from the summer recess. We'll actually try to push some of this through. There's congressional aides that are talking on both sides of the aisle, talking about how they anticipate that rescheduling is going to happen this year in this current congressional session, which goes from now until January 3rd next year. They anticipate the SAFER Act will get passed. Might not be enacted, but it'll get passed. So just some things to look forward to that really are shaping up pretty well for MSOS. Lots of interesting things. So we'll see if, what happens with that. But it's definitely bears worth keeping an eye on the news for that.
PPCB, this is right back to those intraday highs. Volume still looking pretty strong here. We'll see if PPCB can actually move here.
Yeah, it looks like TRIB is also trying to recover. Very low volume. I don't know that it's going to make it past its VWAP, to be honest, but it looks like it's trying to turn back up here. It's just very slow moving. PPCB, I think you're right. That does look like a better one. And it's still trying to chew its way through that consolidation. It's not getting all the way through. Yeah. Getting up to 565. We need to see this take out 590. So it's still hitting it, but it's not getting through.
What's above on that one?
Yep. Looks like NBY. This is not looking great. Still could be some more downside here with NBY. Same thing with SISI. It doesn't look like it's going to be able to recover the 65 EMA just yet. TRIB is still trying to push up to VWAP. We'll see what happens there. RCKT, that's now trading under its 65 EMA. Volume's not great on that one either. Same thing with TIVIC, not great looking.
Ondas, by the way, broke through that 325. It's trying to reclaim it, but man, oh man, it might be a just let the sellers exhaust themselves here on Ondas. We'll see. Thar here, Gary's asking, are there any crazy numbers that you have on Thar?
Let me look and see.
And yeah, Izzy, MSOS is going off the bottom. I might have been a little too cheap there. I didn't get filled at all. That's now a 40 bid on those calls that I was bidding 35 on. I'm going to leave my order out there. I'm not going to chase this back to the upside. As a reminder, I did start to nibble on CGC shares for a long-term swing. Not an investment, but a long-term swing. I nibbled small on that. I do think it could retest 1. We'll see.
Really, for Thar, the only crazy level that I think I would put out there is going to be 306. I think that's about as crazy as you might get today. Now, if it looks like it's going to get taken out, which we're still over $1 away. But if we get up there and it gets taken out, I can give you another one. But I think 306 is probably going to be about as crazy as it gets today.
Okay, VKTX is actually holding above the VWAP here. Again, not in it yet. Now it's actually popping here. So I think this might have been it. I was kind of waiting for this to kind of show a sign that it wanted to move higher. We might have just got that there. Here's VKTX. We'll see if this back tests the VWAP. If it back tests the VWAP and hold, I think that's okay for a short-term trade. I've got VWAP, by the way, 25.55, so it's 14 cents higher than where we're at right now.
Any levels for Hertz? Let's look. Okay. Well, looks like 650s is a level that stands out to me. That's going to be between the 50 and 500-day SMAs. We also have this 20-day SMA that the price has already been rejected once today. That's going to be at 593. We go down to a smaller time frame and see what that price action looks around there. So really, the price, okay, so that's interesting because the price has been trying to get above that 593 area. No closes on any of these 5-minute candles above it, despite printing above it. Seems like that once it gets past 590, sellers really seem to step in with Hertz. So that's kind of what I'd be keeping an eye on if you're looking for more upside here. Sellers are really defending 590 now. If they get taken out, then we could look at that next level around 650 or maybe even 6 first, since that's a psychological level. But it seems to me like 590, you've got some sellers in the way that are trying to keep this from going higher. Take those out, you're going to get better trading, I believe.
I see some unusual options going off here in XYZ, but they were short-term ones and they were $75 strikes. I almost think these were short-term traders yesterday closing that trade out on this move lower, or at least partial of that move lower here. Block here, ticker XYZ, this at the bottom here, 71.5.
Big B's, you're looking for Nvidia to get this 165. Let's get it.
Nvidia put buys literally right as we were taking a look at that. These are the 167.50s bought in size there, 200 plus contracts on that. Looking for another move down here on Nvidia. Actually seeing some call buying into this too. So it actually looks like there's trades on both sides of this name, Nvidia.
Big old pull in PPCB after it couldn't go any higher, down to $5 now.
You were kind of on top of that one, weren't you?
I was, I took it off my screen, and the next thing I know, it's down. I wasn't in this one, but I was pointing out how that area where this consolidation was in the pre-market was going to need some more volume, and it looked like we were getting it, but we couldn't take it out. I guess the sellers just everybody just kind of gave up on it. Now it's really coming in.
Nasty pullback. I think we might be at that stage here in PPCB where you just kind of put this on the burner, the back burner until afternoon. Mm-hmm. Maybe we catches again here.
Big old pull.
VKTX doing a really good job staying above its VWAP here. I would actually, if you're going to look to trade that here intraday, I would trade that against the VWAP. I think a loss of the VWAP could send you lower in short order.
Wow, Nvidia is really okay. So let me go back to the daily chart. Okay. So that remember how I was saying about how bearish that candle was yesterday for Nvidia? Yeah. It's looking like we're going to get another one today if it ends up closing a very similar way. I'm thinking the 50-day SMA is going to get tested. If it doesn't happen today, maybe tomorrow. But that's going to be an area that I think is going to get tested at some point soon.
Okay. A lot of weakness here. Now, I will say, looking at the market here and some of these individual names, it does look like the selling is at least slowing down. I don't necessarily want to make a call that it's over just yet, but it does look like it's slowing down a bit here. Ryan asking if anyone has the next support level here on SPY. I'm sure we can grab that here for you. I had talked a little bit about here. You know what? Let me actually go to the big chart here on SPY.
we're approaching a previous all-time high, and these when the market prints an all-time high on a daily chart, I mark that off, and it tends to be some very good support and resistance levels. So the next one we're coming down to is going to be 634.21. That high was put in on July 23rd.
Okay, so SPY, I had 636, the 20-day moving average. So this still is a key level for me, Ryan. I want to see where the market closes here today. Let me go.
Oh, thought we lost him. So SPY, I'd be looking at that level I just mentioned, the 634.21. There's a trend line that I have drawn that it's also going to interact with at that level, so we might get some support there. It seems like support could be coming after the couple of days that we had. I don't know that we're going to necessarily get a reversal. It might be a brief bounce. Remember, we are at Wednesday today. Tomorrow is not when Powell speaks. It's on Friday. So we could, I don't want to make any predictions on what the market's going to do, but we could experience some more downside, or at the very least some sideways price action. Like we might just trade between a couple in a range tomorrow ahead of that.
Yeah, and sorry about that. I had a sneeze coming on, and I didn't want to expose you folks to that, so I took care of that here. So I will say, at least early on here, I'm not sure we're going to get that green candle. Maybe we get a pattern break here on those candles, but more immediately, I'd like to see a recapture here of 636, that 20-day, for more upside.
Yeah, and it looks like we may have just tested that area not too long ago. 634.22 is the low that I've got. I don't know what you have, but 634.21 was the previous all-time high. So just a penny away. What do you have for the low today?
Let's see here. Let's get
refresh just to be sure.
Going the wrong way. I have your low print here, 633.77.
Okay, I just refreshed because sometimes we don't get those.
I took it from my broker, FYI.
Okay, 633.67 is what I've got on from Pro.
Yeah, yep, okay. That's the same. It's the same.
So we did go a little bit beneath it and then reverse, and we hit the trend line as well. So that we might see. Now here's would be really wild, because Ryan, I don't know if you've noticed, but if we close red today, that's a break of the trend.
Yeah, I just said that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
It's okay, but yeah, no, like I said, we'll see where it finishes here. We would need a pretty substantial move to turn that candle green at this point.
We would have to get back above 639.40, and we are over $4 away. So, big reversal coming? I don't know. If we're going to hold that pattern up, that's what's going to happen.
All right, VKTX still kind of around its VWAP, but holding above it. That's good. No entry on that yet. Seeing some Rocket Lab options go off here, both calls and puts. PayPal calls, that might be a short termer. More Palantir puts. These are the 150s for September.
Rocket Lab, having another red day, which I guess, if the whole market is, then why not Rocket Lab?
Yeah.
But this one also losing its 50-day SMA in the process. Still think, long term, this is going to be a great company. It's going to be one of the closest SpaceX competitors right now. But really, what it comes down to for, I think, further upside in this company is whether or not they can get their Neutron rockets going, and they meet their they make their time frame of expectations for when that's going to start launching commercially. So that's supposed to happen later this year, I believe, is when we're supposed to get a test of that. I'll get you some more information on when that's supposed to go down. But Rocket Lab, Neutron rocket, very important for the continued success of this company.
Bharat mentioning that Roblox is super strong today. Indeed, Roblox moved down with the market, it looks like, here today, but it's actually bounced back and about to do a red to green move here. I still think long-term this company's got some problems with some of the child predator stuff that we had been discussing the last couple of days. Just really awful things here. I think there's probably some more bad news on the horizon, but so far, Bharat's right. Weakness here very, very quickly bought back up, at least so far today.
We're still beneath the open and close of yesterday. We just, we ended up opening lower today, almost hit the 50-day SMA. this still doesn't look too great to me. I mean, yeah, we did get a nice rebound after selling out of the open here, but we're still trading beneath, the real body of yesterday's candle. And we also pointed out yesterday, 125. If we do continue to come back up, 125 is about where we think that this is going to, this high is just going to go, because that is it seems to be a stiff resistance area.
VKTX, maybe it retakes 26. We'll see. Thar here, this went to 220. It's pulling back. Let's see if it holds 2 on THAR, Theramune. Crow, are you back in this one? Holding up shorts underwater, back in Gary Frost. Are you in this one? What are you and Gary trading here?
Lynn, you're saying that Rocket Lab has a launch this weekend, but it's one of their Electron rockets, right? The ones that they're using already for sending smaller payloads into space, or is this an actual test of Neutron? I got a platform. I can probably look myself. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so it's the latest headline from yesterday that I see is that SpaceX rival Rocket Lab sets launch date for a 70th Electron mission. Will deploy 6 satellites for confidential commercial customer. So that's their smaller rocket. That's not the Neutron. The confidential commercial customer. Well, if they're launching out of Virginia, then it's likely going to be the U.S. government, because that's exclusive to the defense industry, U.S. defense industry. Yes, Wallops, Virginia. Yep. So that's business as usual for this company. We want to see the Neutron rocket get launched and tested. But thank you for that update. Okay, Electron, thank you.
Stopped out 3 green trades on Thar, 1 red. Crow, that's not bad, man. You know what? You've earned yourself a 1-up for that, Crow. What's on the what beer is in the mug today? Let me know. Ondis did hold that 325 or recaptured it. I held 320 and recaptured 325. That's good. Market does look like at least this morning wave of selling is done, at least for now. We'll see if the bottom's actually in for the day.
Well, let's see if these movers from this morning can start to come back. Looks like
AUD isn't so far.
AUD is it's trying to put in a base. It looks like, but yeah, I don't unless it can get back above and hold above 255. I would say then it's still looking a little weak. PPCB that after that selling and rebound off the 65 EMA, that's kind of going sideways. I don't know how much more is left in this. NDY appears to be trying to turn around as well. Some of these moving averages are curling, but it's trying to get back above its 65 EMA. Fortunately for this stock, it's still holding above $1 despite some prints beneath it. Also, let's see, Tivik seems to be trying to curl up as well. That's above its 65 EMA, still beneath its VWAP though. And then, did you say Trib as well?
I did not, but okay. That's one of the movers from today, so that works.
Yeah, so that one did try about 5-10 minutes ago to take out its VWAP. No success yet. A lot of these just need volume.
GLE, here is a penny stock graduating to dollar territory. Paul mentioning this one. This is indeed popping in. Paul, this is popping on volume.
Ryan, did Trump just make a truth about that?
I don't. I get my truths from the producer. He does an amazing job of feeding them to me ASAP. I don't have Truth Social, and I haven't necessarily paid enough attention to see if any of them got reposted here. Really quickly, though, I wanted to shout this out. Michelle, by the way, I don't know who recommended Newegg, but I've made about $3,500 on that stock with my little account. Thank you. Michelle, that is awesome to hear. Love hearing big gains on small accounts. I think get me the most fired up because I know how hard it is when that account is small. The other thing is, from a strategy perspective here, I want you guys to think about something, the mindset of trading here. Which mindset are you in? Are you in the mindset of making money? Are you in the mindset of keeping money? Because they're different and they require different skill sets. The other thing here is that if you're being led by fear, in other words, if your fear of losing money is keeping you out of things or making you sell too soon, that's something that you need to work on. This if you operate in fear, this market will come and eat you like Jaws. You have to be able to put that. And this is a battle that I do every day. I'm saying it like I'm a pro at this. I struggle with this a lot. So yeah, I'm just telling you, this is what I've learned over the course of my life so far.
It'll eat you like Jaws. You won't hear the music coming.
That's right. Right, because you'll be on the water thrashing around.
Yep. You're buying long term for the cat ladies, James. All right. Well, cat ladies need love too. If you don't want to lose money, just put it in a money market.
I don't understand this question. Okay, so if you don't, okay, that's fair. So if you don't want to lose money, you should put it in investments that have less risk associated with them. Obviously, your returns will be limited. What I'm saying here is that, like, understand what it is that you're going after. And if what you're trying to do is preserve capital, that's a little bit different than trying to go after new capital. For example, in the market that we see here today, this is not an environment where I'm playing defense today, not offense, right? I'm playing defense today. I'm making sure I don't get hammered. I'm a little bit slower on some of these entries. The last thing I would want to do is to try a day trade where, like PPCB, where it just pulls back in my face. Really trying to focus on playing protection, which means when it comes to some of these short-term trades, we're definitely not chasing, and we're absolutely trying to load at support zones. That's why I keep asking Tuna about load zones and support zones.
Yeah, now SSI, I'm sorry, not SSI, SI, this is still trying to push up higher, and it's still doing it on low volume. So great that we're getting it back up here, but it seems like at any point this might be able to, get pulled right back down, especially with the float being as low as it is.
Money, golf, and food is all I need. That sounds good, dude. That sounds good. And yeah, Voodoo, good to see you, by the way, this morning. Hope you are well. Joe saying, okay, what you mean? It seems that you're really asking about one's risk tolerance. Well, I mean, everyone's risk tolerance is different, right? So I can't apply a blanket statement to all of that. I just want you to get to thinking about the environment that you're in. Like today, like, do we see a lot of things really kind of ripping today that we should be deploying capital trying to go after? I don't really see a whole lot. I think some of these other days were a lot better. Today, it seems more of a defensive day. So we'll keep an open mind about a potential trade, but we're not going to get too into anything, and we're gonna pull those trades pretty quick if we get in the green.
Yeah, we're not in business trying to catch falling knives here.
No, we're not. And we're not in business trying to make things harder. This is already a hard job. We don't need to make it harder by trying to force something on a day where it's just not being presented to you.
It looks like, I mean, Smoke Tuna, you give me the signal, but it looks like AUD is still on the recovery on low volume. Looks like some of these are still trying to come back up on low volume. Tibic looks like it's trying to do the same. AUD looks like it's trying to do the same. Trib might be doing the same thing. NBY is trying to recover, but the volume on these things just do not look great. If you're going to trade these, I would probably think the best thing to do is to just make sure you've got stops ready to go. Yeah, that's right, Zach. We're in that seasonality too, so we might get that chop around. We could see the SPY turn back up later this month going into the Nvidia earnings. So that's another thing that could possibly happen. There's going to be some choppiness in this month, and there's probably going to be some real weakness in September. That's what the seasonality tells us. That's what we're anticipating.
And would you even be surprised if the market kind of traded up into those Nvidia earnings only to have Nvidia disappoint and then roll back over to the lows? To me, that is a perfectly, that to me, that could easily happen.
Yep. Not at all. I would not be surprised.
Okay, VKTX, the best scalp here today, at least for me. Congrats to any of you that hit some of these others. Hopefully nobody got trapped in the big pulls. VKTX actually looks like it might take out 26 here, so maybe we'll have some more upside on that.
Yeah, a lot of these that are not doing well, they might come back later because we are past that 1030 point where volume does really leave the market and things just don't trade as well as they do. So just keep that in mind. Let's not force anything right now. There'll probably be some better opportunities later on. And we can always come back here tomorrow and do this all over again. We do not want to make today your last day.
Yeah, you don't want to make any day your last day. Always live to fight another day. Always, always, always.
UNH buy zone. Oh, geez, let's see here.
Let's take a look.
Hey, how about that? We are under 300, just like we thought it might go. So I can't really speak on a buy zone because I don't know what your time horizon is. If you're looking for a trade, I mean, it could be 290 that could might give you a trade. I don't know for sure. For me, I'd only be comfortable with kind of giving some levels of if you have long-term prospects, because down here at this price under 300, I think this is pretty much a bargain, and any other lower prints are just going to be even sweeter. So I can give you some areas that I think you might get that support to where it starts to turn around. I mentioned earlier that 50-day SMA. I'd really like to see that hold. I think that's a very interesting level. That's going to be at 288.78, so just under 290. But let's say that area doesn't hold. The next areas that I'd be interested in are going to be 280. There's a gap right beneath that. Maybe there's a print that fills that very quickly and comes back up. Don't know for sure. But those are some of the areas that I'd be keeping an eye on if it continues to weaken, because long-term prospects, like a year, 2 years, maybe even more, I don't think we're going to be seeing this at 300. It's probably going to be a lot more than that.
UNH, this does run the risk of maybe filling that gap to the downside. That would be something right after that Buffett buy, I tell you what.
Yeah, but he's also in this for the long term too.
Right. He's got a long-term timer. He wouldn't care about that gap getting filled.
He might not live to see the sale of this. I'm just, that's a morbid way of looking at it, but he's just an old guy, and he holds these things for so long that this holding might outlive him, is all I'm saying. All right. So that's what I think with UNH. I think that if you're looking at long-term horizons, this is really good discount. Meanwhile, these movers are not so great. SISI, more weakness. Maybe TRIB hits the VWAP and then backs off again. Like, I don't know. Like, we're not in a good volume environment right now. None of these are really providing enough volume to make any interesting trades. Maybe Rocket Pharmaceuticals, that's starting to get a little bit of expansion, but then again, it might not be enough volume because there are so many sellers standing in the way.
And Thar looked like it does want to go. To Crow's point earlier, Thar does look like it wants to go, but we're already in the phase where the volume is starting to compress and we're below that high. So it might just be kind of a fake out back towards that high and then another pull here. I'm with Crow on that. I definitely don't want to chase Thar. And Rocket here, we are bottoming out on this 200 EMA. See if that's enough to hold it.
Yep, no 100% runners, absolutely.
Yeah, Pete here, some more color. It was his first insurance buy in over 15 years. Big value play long term. And I think that's the point that 13 was making, that he might not even be around when they ring the register on that one.
Yeah.
But you know what, Pete? The first insurance buy in 15 years. What do you think about that? Do you follow something like that? Would you follow him into that?
Yeah, because he still owns Geico, right?
I think so. Let me check on that.
I'm pretty sure he owns Geico, at least a good portion of it, and some other insurance companies as well. So this is going to be another addition to his insurance portfolio.
Yes, he does. He did not liquidate that one. This is from, oh no, you know what? This is from 2019. Yes, he does, though. He does. I don't, yeah. Yes, he does. Yes.
Well, Izzy, he
thanks for cash. Yes.
Yeah, he was sitting on a ton of cash, so he was looking for something that was, and that was the kind of the thing that he was saying like earlier when he was sitting on all this cash. He's like, I just don't see anything I really like to buy. That was a real big opportunity, so I think he recognized that, and that's why he's in it around 300. Geico is a fully owned Berkshire subsidiary. Doesn't count. Well, it's not health insurance. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't count. The only point was that it's, he owns it. He owns insurance.
It's just auto insurance.
It's just, auto, accidental, that kind, yeah.
But what's your answer to, would you buy it? Do you follow him in? If you have a buy that he hasn't made in 15 years, is that enough for you to say, you know what? I'll take a stab at this too.
I mean, to be honest, I thought this was a bargain even before I found out that he bought it. I just didn't know where the bottom was going to be, and I didn't want to, as we've been talking about, catch a falling knife. Seeing as that we had that consolidation that lasted for a few months, right around that 290 to 320 area, seemed like that was a pretty good opportunity. It looked like it was a good enough opportunity for him because it seemed like it was trying to be on the recovery. We still ended up going on to print new lows. And I'm still thinking that this is going to, it's still a great spot here. And if it goes lower, it's just another area to add. I think that I would absolutely be interested in getting this for the long term. I don't think that's a short-term trade is really what I would be looking at for this. I think this is something that you'd want to hold for a much longer period of time. And it's trading at a discount. So I think I would be a buyer.
Thar she blows. Check out the intraday high there. Went as high as what? 247, it looks like. Big pop there on Thar. Look, it came back in a little bit here. Volume is still on the compression side. It wasn't in that one, but grats to anyone that had that. Easy for me to say. There's your registering.
Zoo, you're right. He does own Chubb, and I think that's a more recent purchase that he did. I don't think that's something that he's had for a very long time, like Geico. Insurance will perform better as employment levels drop. See, I would take the other side to that because a lot of insurers, they get more business when they do like a group insurance policy for a company. So if you have fewer employed, then I think that's fewer insured. That's less revenue. That's just the way I would be looking at it. I don't think that job losses are necessarily a good thing for health insurers. I think if you have more people working, you have more health insurance coverage. I might be wrong about that, but that's just the way I look at it. The more people working, they can afford healthcare. They probably will get it through their employer. That's just the way I think.
Pete, health insurance are cheap right now, but I'm not trying to tie up money for a multi-year play at the moment. That part I agree with. There's a certain unpredictable wild card in the equation. That's dependent on your viewpoint. But I got it. I appreciate you answering the question. Been away. Did you enter VKTX? No, it moved above 26 here. My big thought on this is I've already scalped this once. I want to feel real good about the trade. It's just kind of drifting right now. Don't feel 100% great about that. And we were just talking about capital preservation being a primary goal, playing defense instead of offense here today.
Yes. BRKB, Andrew Senior TV. That's the one that I would be taking if I, because I did own that at one point, but I sold because it was great return, long-term gain, did everything I wanted with it, so I was out. But looks like it's becoming a very interesting again. I think the best opportunity probably was down around 450, but I didn't know how low it was going to go until he was going to end up picking up something, because I thought just having that cash position, maybe there's some stagnation in the growth of Berkshire, but nope.
Real quick here, Lion, grats on the Palantir trades. Those are both really good there.
Nice.
Izzy saying, Ryan, MSOS, here's your entry. I'm on the bid, bro. Bidding 35 on those October 7 calls. Have not gotten filled yet. We'll let you know if I do.
All right. So cycling through some of these names again. Looks like all our movers are just pretty much sideways at the moment, if not drifting lower. Seems like NBY not going to have a great morning here. Maybe this trade's better in the afternoon. I'm not sure which ones will. It doesn't look like they're quite on the recovery yet. Volume just isn't great today, folks.
No, it isn't. And I'm looking at VKTX. I just got asked about it here from Brian. I'm looking at VKTX. I'll be honest with you. My gut tells me that we probably grind higher here, but I don't think that there's any reason we couldn't just in a heartbeat give all these gains back here. So currently at 26, we're doing an okay job holding above 26. I would not be surprised if this drifted as 27, maybe 27 and a half to the upside. I just don't know. I just don't know, and I don't want to give back any of the gains that I have, because right now my swings today pretty much all underwater. Costco, the only one that's green, and some of the dividend plays are green, but I wouldn't call those swings. I'm holding those. Rocket, that's lower. Everything, all of the swings here that I have, except for Costco, are in the red. And so my day trades here are kind of offsetting some of the unrealized losses that I'm seeing on some of the swings.
I'm getting asked about Netflix levels and LIDR support.
Let's do Netflix first. NFLX. I'll go to the big chart for it.
Let me pull that up and see what I can find here for y'all. Fortunately, I do have my drawing still. What's up?
Zach was just saying target management change, in case you missed it. We didn't. I covered that out of the open here. Target, it is the CEO who I don't like at all. It's actually one of the reasons Target's been a short for a long time, and they're just continuing to prove that that was absolutely the right call. The CEO, I believe, is a clown. I would never invest in anything that he is running. That's why one of the reasons why I've disliked Target for a long time. The CEO succession plan puts the current CEO on the board. So I'm just not even sure how much change is there, to be quite honest with you, on Target. Now, we can get back to that here in a sec. 13, did you want to talk about Netflix?
Yeah, right now it looks like the 20-day SMA is providing some support here for the price. When we lost the 50-day SMA yesterday, it went down to the 20 and it got support. It actually did a little bit of a bounce and closed about halfway through the drop. Today, we've opened about where the close was yesterday, and we've continued to come down and test this 20-day SMA. And the more that we hit some of these moving averages, the less likely they are to hold up. So I think that we could be seeing some kind of a breakdown beneath 195. The 20-day SMA is at it's 1193.46. I was actually meant 1195, but 1193.46 is where the 20-day SMA is. That's going to be your next support area, in my opinion. And if you lose that, then you get into this consolidation back in early August, late July, the bottom of which is going to be around 1150. It did print lower than that, but 1150 is about where that seems to have held up. So on a loss of the 20-day SMA, I'd be looking at 1150 as the next support area. And after that, probably just 1100.
And I think one of the other things you could do here on Netflix, you could probably wait closer to the close here and see what this candle is going to look like as it closes, as opposed to trying to make that decision here at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning.
You're right. AMD is having a bad week. All semis in general are having a bad week. This is a big run that they've all been on, so it's not surprising to see this pullback here. I'll get to the other one that I was going to talk about, LiDAR, in just a second. But with AMD, we have the 50-day SMA. Here's another one that's lost its 20-day SMA recently. We're facing a second close beneath it. I mean, yeah, these are going to all come back in, but I think they're going to come back in and provide buying opportunities. So not going to be trying to catch a falling knife, not going to be adding up here. I'm still in AMD. I'm still holding it. I have no plans to sell. It's just is going to have to come in off of this massive run that it's had. And once it starts forming a bottom, well, then we'll look about adding to the position or trading it.
Okay, did you want to do LIDR?
Yeah, let's look at LIDR. So we're looking for a support level here in LIDR.
This looks no bueno. This looks like two coming.
Yeah, this, let's see here. I have actually got a trend line already. If we follow this trend, I'm just using this trend line I drew, I don't know how long ago. It was at least a couple weeks. But ever since we've had this gap up, we've been making some lower prints, and I just drew a trend line to see if there's a trend as to where those lower prints end up finding support. And if we're gonna use this trend line, it means that the next area of support is going to be somewhere between the 500 and the 50-day SMAs. Could be at about $2 exactly, to be honest, if we end up getting that move down today. But it seems like $2 could be the next support area.
Okay. Barat saying this feels like 2021 sell-off as we made all-time highs on a lot of junk stocks and SPACs coming to market. The sell-off much steeper than we think. Just to clarify, Barat, because I don't know where you're going with that. That sell-off was steeper. The sell-off that we might get here is steeper. What are you where are you going at there? And folks, no all access today. We do have story trading coming up, and I'll be honest, the story trading guys have been awesome. And our last all access kind of ran over. So 13, if it's okay with you, I'd like to give them maybe 5 minutes or so back here today. I'm not sure if they're even going to be ready for that. But just letting you know, we are going to be going to story trading here pretty soon. The official time is 10 minutes, but we might give them some extra time as an apology for last week.
Sure. To answer your question, all right, Alpha, I eased in to AMD as I usually do with long-term positions. My cost basis is 113.
So I just read here. This is just kind of this has nothing market related, so I'm sorry. Hopefully nothing else is going on, but I just saw one of the most relatable tweets that I've ever seen, and I'm going to share it with you. This is literally what I looked like on Sunday night. I looked like this guy. I was laying in my bed at 1 a.m. and I was setting my alarm for 5 a.m. just to make sure I woke up on time. And I was crying. I was like, oh man, this is going to suck. I saw this 1 second. I can relate to this. That absolutely sucked. Absolutely sucked. Ended up not needing the alarm. Woke up anyway.
Seems like Ray's looking for a trade here in Zeta, Z-E-T-A.
Let me go back to my main workspace. We can kind of go through that stuff. Ondus, by the way, Zach, Ondus does look like it's trying to hold 320, 325 down here. I would say that if we close above 325 or at 325, I think we're going to be fine going forward. MACD eased off. We're hovering at the offering price. There you go. You're seeing the same thing I am. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Well, all right. It's really just averaging in, and it's not something you want to do with day trading, but it's certainly something that has worked very well for me when it comes to long-term investment positions. There's certain areas that I've got marked off of where I think the price will go in a stock, and I have a certain amount of that I will buy, and there's certain rules that I follow. So you're gonna have to come up with your own, but. For me, AMD, AVGO, I eased into those. I tend to ease into positions because my time horizon on those kinds of names is like at least a year, if not much, much longer. So I've got plenty of time to make decisions about where I want to buy, where I want to take my gains. But it's really just I'm trying to get it at the what I believe to be the cheapest, and when it's at discounts. Pepsi is another one. UPS is another one. Those are names that were getting hammered, and I still think they're great companies. Their dividends are only getting better the lower they go, so it's just making them more attractive to me. So what I would probably say is if you're not already using some kind of financial advisor or fiduciary, certainly get one, and they can help you with that, with the easing.
Izzy flagging some huge UNH calls here. I don't see them. The 312.5 calls is the ones you're talking about. I don't see them here. I'll go look through my other option chain. This thing flags them based on the aggressive nature of that. Part of me wonders if they were selling calls at that. But looking at this, you did have some pretty big bets. It looks like the 300 call for January of 2026. Trader spent $312,000 there. And then there was also one for October, the 290 call for October. They spent $435,000 on that. Kevin, take care of yourself. Appreciate
it. Kevin. Uncle Dirt. I would start very simply by just looking up candlestick patterns, and different formations. That's typically a great place to start, just to get an idea of the patterns. And then I would kind of take what you learned there, see if you can find those particular patterns in different charts for some good companies, like let's say Microsoft or Nvidia or Tesla or any of those, and see if you can identify those patterns and how they resolved. That's been very helpful to me to see how it's supposed to look, and then go and see it in practice. And if I can find where it happened and see the result of that pattern, and if it resolved the way it's supposed to, it gives me a better idea of what to look for next time, especially when it comes to that individual name.
Yeah, I like your comment there about pattern recognition. You're going to read a lot about indicators. By the way, there's a good call there on VKTX, Charles. That is Charles and Rakesh. What did I say? It could grind higher. So far, it's grinding higher here. Actually did have a little bit of a volume tick up there. VKTX actually looks okay here for the rest of the day. I love your comment there about pattern recognition, and you're going to read and look about a lot of indicators, and you're going to, in some cases, you're going to be able to add them all to your chart. Simplicity is best in this, and I don't think you necessarily need to memorize and learn every single indicator on day one. You can start small, as 13 said, look for those patterns. Eventually, you're going to start seeing things repeat that you're going to be able to take advantage of. And if you put yourself in that position and always leave yourself a little bit of an open mind, you should be okay on that. VKTX continuing to go higher here.
Nice. And yes, there's some great books out there. Michelle's mentioned a couple there, but absolutely, just spend some time looking at the way these different patterns happen, and try to see if you can apply it, or at least pick out those patterns and their resolutions in stocks that have already made them, just to get an idea of how they're supposed to look. I don't think it's going to serve you too well to try to study the patterns and then wait for them to show up on your chart. Look for them that have already happened. Look for the ones that have already happened, and so you can get a better idea of how they look, because they're not going to be perfect every time. Absolutely, Uncle Dirt.
Oh, Izzy, that was from the Sept 5. Okay. So indeed, there is call activity on the September 5 contract. That's 16 days to expiry. There's been 1,100 contracts bought at that 312.50 on UNH. This is the one Izzy's flagging in there. Izzy, I see it here. This was not one big aggressive buy. It looks like these were a bunch of flow into that name. I don't see them as a condition of part of a spread. I see people chasing that as well. But yeah, there's definitely some action. 312.5 for September 5th, the weekly call on UNH.
Looks like some of these movers are trying to recover on low volume. Some of them are starting to curl back up. Looks like NBY might be, PPCB not yet. TRIB, it's pretty close to its VWAP. That one, looks pretty close, but the volume, folks, the volume. They're just not great right now, but it is looking like they're trying to recover. Rocket, 4 green candles now. Tivic, knocking on the door of its VWAP. If we get volume in any one of these that helps take it over these levels of resistance they're approaching, there might be some more interest coming back in them, but the volume doesn't show that right now.
What the heck? Okay. Yeah. So Jay saying NBIS straight down since Dan Ives added it to the power names. Where's the buy opportunity? VKTX, more intraday highs here on VKTX. Grats to anyone that caught that. I'm out of this one. I already made some money off this right off the open. But grats to any of you that stuck with it. Brian, you've been swinging this since the 23 handle. Good stuff. You're up 6+ points now on that. Oh, excuse me, 3+ points on that. I beg your pardon.
I mean, for NBIS, if the 20-day SMA doesn't provide any support, then I see support at about 58 and then 55.
Okay. All right, 13. I think we're going to go over to story trading now.
All right.
I don't think we have Godfather yet, but it looks like we got Rhett and we definitely got Ben. Okay. 13. Any closing words for the group here?
Yeah, hey folks, volume has not been great today. It hasn't been a great week for volume, to be honest. So let's stick with the our rule here with not trying to force anything. We'll get more volume in the morning tomorrow. Might even get some more later on this afternoon. Let's just not force trades. Wait for setups. Let's be smart about these trades. And if it doesn't, nothing looks good, maybe go outside and have a nice rest of your day away from the computer. Folks, we'll find some more movers tomorrow. We'll trade them. We'll make some money. It'll be a good time. Take care. See you later. Bye-bye.
All right, that is 13. Really good stuff here. Yet again, 13. Even when we don't have a lot going on, you still find the gold nuggets. That's why we bring you on here. Really good stuff. 13's departure is going to leave room for Ben and Rhett. Let's go ahead and bring Ben on. We've got no cam for Ben. We do have a cam for Rhett. Hello, Rhett. Good morning, Rhett.
Morning, Ryan. How's it going?
It's going good. Let's go ahead and add Ben's screen. Let's get the Godfather on here as well. There we go.
Morning.
Ben, mic check. 1, 2. What is this? Okay, you're there. Yeah,
Can you
sure
hear me?
can. Hopefully your recovery is going well. What do you guys got for us today?
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I should have just taken the surgery week off. Had surgery Monday. Yeah, that would have been fun. My wife told me, Ben, just go all cash this week. Take it easy. You should have listened.
You should always listen to the wife. I'm gonna do your hair, guys. Good luck.
So yeah, funny if we're talking about VKTX. That's right at the top of my watch list. So I am trading that a little bit today. Got killed on it yesterday though. Let's look at the macro real quick. And Godfather, you'll probably have to do most of the talking for me. It's a little bit rough today, but pretty obvious what's going on here on the daily charts with QQQ SPY IWM. Let's bring up those daily charts. QQQ broke below the 20 today, making a beeline for the 50 DMA. You got to think, Godfather mentioned this in the Discord, that's a magnet now, the 50 DMA on the QQQ. SPY even through the 20 DMA. I'm not sure that we'll reach the 50 DMA on the SPY, though. It tends to hold up better. And then IWM there trying to tag the 20 DMA today. We do have FOMC minutes out at 2 p.m., which could bring a reprieve because if you remember, at the last FOMC meeting was the first time in over 30 years that there was dissension. There were a couple votes for Fed for rate cut, and that was a unique thing. So that's going to come back to the forefront here this afternoon. So maybe we'll get a bid at 2 p.m. But then we have Jackson Hole on Friday, and that was some trauma over Jackson Hole 2-3 years ago. So maybe that's what's keeping the market down right now. You know, I always try to look for alpha even in bad markets, and we have a couple spots of it. But overall, man, you know, it's been rough. Wolf is my biggest trading position. WULF have over 20% position. It's up 1.7% today. In the morning note, I mentioned an 860 support level, and it held it to the penny. I kind of wish that's the only thing I was in. WULF is working, posts all of those great catalysts with Google, etc. A couple other things that, not really. Gilt had a $60 million deal this morning, kind of hanging in there. I think it's time for Ethereum treasury names again. We're getting close to the bottom. You can see here BMNR at 47, but if you look at Ethereum, Ethereum looking to, it's bounced off the 20 DMA 2 days in a row. I'm thinking that might be the bottom, so I'm stepping back into BMNR over here. And what about this crash in Palantir? Finally, like I'm not in Palantir. I always thought it was too expensive. I missed the ride up, but at least I'm missing this ride down from 190. So I'm just going to leave those initial comments there. As you can tell, it's hard for me to speak, and rather than splitting up the macro and individual stocks, I'll turn it over to the Godfather Knows. I'll be listening, and if there's anything important, I'll chime in.
Yeah, I spent some time looking at those levels this morning, and I do actually. I guess I have a slightly more bearish view. I do think we're going to break the 50 days here, moving average on both significantly. I go back to last year at this time, so you know we're in the last holiday week of summer, and you know if I look at this period last year, we peaked at on August 20th, which is today. And then we subsequently fell 7.7% right through to the day after Labor Day. So far this year, we peaked on August 13th, and we've fallen 4%. So we're kind of halfway there. If you look at the same on SPY, the peak was again on August 20th last year. It dipped 3.3% into September 6th, and we're down 1.9 on SPY so far. So I kind of feel like we're halfway if history repeats here. And look, all it takes is for a lack of liquidity in the market. It doesn't take concerted selling. And if you look at some of the metrics, there are guys that look at this in great granularity, things like reverse repos and the Treasury General account and all the rest of it. It's all showing signs of a lack of liquidity in the market. So I think for the next 10 trading sessions, which is what takes us to the day after Labor Day, pops are better sold. And from a trading standpoint, the only trading per se that I've been doing is to the short side. I took a small short on Palantir, I took a small short on Intel. I actually covered both of those just before the show here. I am going to be looking for further re-entries in both of those names. But again, all this will be informed on the price action. So, where does this take us? I think obviously we've got some key events here. We've got the Powell speech on Friday. I'm not sure about the minutes, whether that's really going to give us much. Typically those things tend to be a non-event. We already know about the dissensions. And the problem with the Powell speech on Friday is there's no Q&A associated with that. So I kind of feel like that's going to be a non-event either, because I don't think he's going to take away any optionality going into the Fed meeting on the 16th of September. Colex in our Discord put out an interesting piece that was, I guess, initially published by the Kobayashi letter on X. And it looks to these revisions of the BLS numbers for non-farm payroll. And last year, we saw almost a 900,000 job revision. And this year, we're expecting almost the same. In fact, Goldman is out saying, we could see 950,000 plus. That would be the largest revision to payroll since 2010. That would be extremely bullish for the lower rate camp. Again, that's September 9th when that comes out. So, there's a data point that will inform, yet again, another data point that will inform what the Fed ultimately does on the 16th, 17th. I'm on the view that it's a one and done for this year. I think that, the market has consistently been ahead of itself in terms of rate cut expectations. And I think it will again, if they do indeed do September, I think they'll get too excited about December. And if they don't do September, then for sure, I think we get December. And then frankly, that's it. I don't think it matters a lot in the grand scheme of things. You got Powell out of the way starting in May. You've got earnings that show, fabulous comps in the first part of 2026. So, I'm still bullish on these, yield curve steepener plays. The trajectory of rates are lower. That I've got an eye on nail in the housing sector. I'm watching closely. Currently do not have a position in nail, but if this breaks 80 and gets back into the low 7 handles, I'll be looking to take another trade position. Again, I think you want to be long nail in some of these interest rate sensitive names. DPST is another one, which is a levered regional bank ETF, ahead of this sort of September 9th revision to these non-farm payroll numbers. So I think there's going to be some interesting trading opportunities there. Beyond that, it's a difficult time, right? If the market leadership starts to fail here, it's difficult for people to want to commit money down the chain to lower quality, lower liquidity, smaller caps. And, you can see, the foot come off the gas in a lot of these risk assets. You don't have to look further than crypto. I think your point is valid, though, Ben. A nice bounce. Wow, we're really getting a bounce right now on everything, it seems. Yeah, nice bounce on Ethereum. Just above the 4,000 level, which is obviously bullish. I don't think the factors that are at work there, long term for Ethereum with respect to its use for stablecoins, etc., is going anywhere. So I think this is just a pause that refreshes there. So I would advocate, trading positions as long as you have, at least a couple of week time frame, because you do have this next 10-day period where we're likely to see, significant illiquidity in the market. So, but that said, I would expect that, Ethereum ultimately to push through 5,000 going into the second half of the year, and these Ethereum treasury companies to return to, premium to NAV position. And that's the kind of position that they need to be in to, of course, increase their holdings.
Yeah, I stepped back into BMNR maybe a few dollars too early. I was looking for the 20 DMA there at around 45, but then I saw ETH do well this morning. I jumped in at 51. I may have jumped in on a few dollars on BMNR, but I think we're close to bottom on these ETH treasury names. Rhett, what's on your plate?
Mainly, I've just been watching the indices. I saw we're showing relative weakness this morning at the open with some of the big tech, especially with Nvidia. So I hopped into QQQ puts at the open, but I sold way too early. Left a lot of money on the table this morning. Other than that, I've been taking it pretty light as I've been sick the past couple of days. But I would like to see, watching Palantir, I think we will definitely make a move, especially with the seasonality back down to the 130s, maybe 120s. Looking at the chart, we hit a nice key level today of the 145.15. We're back above that now. I would like to see what we do coming into the close today. If we close below that, I think we see a lot more potential downside there for Palantir. And that's a key name we could focus on, just with the price to earnings and all that.
Yeah. I think Palantir possible 125 to 133. I think possibly in the cards. You're really good with the Qs on the puts and the calls. That's great. Usually I'm more active with that, trying to hedge my portfolio when we have the market going down. I'm just not. I'm not really too active given my recovery. I'm working from home with a laptop. I don't have my 3-screen setup, so I'm not doing much today. Unfortunately, just taking it on the chin with some of these positions. Let me ask Godfather about Wolf, because this is my largest position, and I've been happy holding it. It's worked out really well. It's holding. It's consolidated its gains pretty nicely, holding this 860 support level. I'm curious your take on these deals that were made last week with Google and that other company. I forget the name of it, but really looks like significant deals. Have you looked into the fundamentals and evaluation of what TeraWolf should kind of re-rate to based on these deals?
So I haven't done a full deep dive on, and look, we don't know exactly, a lot of the parameters, but my take on it is this. Look, the stock ran from 550 to 1050. Obviously, there's a lot of hot money associated with that. There's fundamental buying that goes along with that as well. They took this opportunity to do that convert deal, which I think is fabulous for them, incredible terms. So, this is clearly a very positive value creation event for Wolf. But I think that the real opportunity here is the read through to some of the other players, because it really is a short list of players here. I mentioned this on the small cap spaces on Wolf X. You only have a couple of guys. You have to tick a couple of boxes, right? You have to have geographic location for low latency and in terms of proximity to key fiber optic lines. You have to have the power contracts. You have to have the ability to finance this capex, and fourthly, you have to have the internal management capability and staff capability to put up these data centers. And beyond Wolf, APLD, Iron, and Cipher, and Cores, of course, which is we'll see if that deal gets done or not, but it's effectively, I think, going to be part of CoreWeave. The number of companies gets really, really thin. And I don't think you want to go, frankly, beyond those names. So I look at where the opportunities are now. I look at the relative performance and strength of Iron. APLD, it sort of falls to fourth on my scale. But the name that really rises to the top here is Cipher. And the reason I mention it, again, we're right back down to the 550 level, or we got under that actually this morning. This thing was around $7 when the meta rumors were hot and heavy on Barber Lake, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Whether it's Meta or another player, I actually think it probably will ultimately be Meta. But these guys do have all of those boxes ticked, and more than anybody else, they have this term sheet in place with Fortress to basically handle all of the capex for this 300 gigawatt data center at Barber Lake. And they've told you, right? There's these management interviews that are all over X. They've told you, look, we're in intensive negotiations with one lessee for the entire thing, and we're going to get it done before the year end. So, with that in place, I think you've got the opportunity here to see a 50% or more. We could see a wolf type move, which was 100%. But I think 50% at minimum to get into that sort of $7-8 level. And, again, this could justifiably get to double digits on a similar type deal. Now, they would have to give up some economics here for the Cipher financing or for the Fortress financing. But keep in mind that this is just 300 megawatts out of a pipeline that's 2.6 gigs. So, I think people will obviously extrapolate the deal economics there into the rest of their pipeline. And this is the thing. There's essentially no value, zero value being given for the pipeline beyond either Barber Lake or the current expansion that's underway at Black Hill. So I like that name a lot. And I just want to make one point here while I'm talking about Cipher and these names. I really think that you want to focus your attention on the key theme and the key theme adjacent names, especially if you're going down the market cap curve going into the latter part of the year, because I don't think you were going to see any major theme changes to the market. We know that power is a huge theme. We know that batteries are a huge theme. We know that data centers are a huge theme. We know that rare earths are a huge theme. Quantum space, these kinds of things. And if these themes aren't working, then you might have your favorite company, but if it's in a standalone sector, unless it has really, really compelling fundamentals and a compelling story, it's going to become orphaned in this market. So go where the wind is at your back. And I see some questions in the chat about GSRT. Yes, I do think that's a hold. You're going to get a ticker change to nuclear on that. It does need to participate. Outside of data center and this sort of conversion from, Bitcoin mining to HPC, that whole independent power producer and nuclear theme, not only, are the obvious demand tailwinds there for data center needs, but you also have the administration doing anything and everything in their power to facilitate development in that sector. So yes, I would hang on to GSRT.
Yeah, GSRT, I've had too large. It's been dead money. I have like a 14% position. But yeah, it should probably be more like 5 or 10%. So it hasn't really worked out for me yet. But not much downside. Expect to move when they announce the date for the ticker symbol change. So with Cipher, is this something you're holding through the volatility? You have like an overweight position because of what just happened with
yeah,
Wolf?
Absolutely. In fact, it's the only part of the data center theme where I have chips on the table at the moment. A diversified portfolio would have a little bit on APLD, but they've made some announcements already as well. Iron, because I think they're fantastic operators, and I think they have a fantastic pipeline of assets as well. But the most compelling one to me is Cipher. I think you could see another push by Wolf up to that sort of 1050 level, but the fast money is going to be looking for the next thing, and with those announcements already having been made, the Wolf market is just a question of where's it going to settle out in terms of fundamental value. These things often overshoot to the upside when you get an announcement. So it could be in that $9.50 to $10 range, but if we get back up there again, I would take chips off the table and shift them into Cipher, frankly.
So with Wolf, I know you didn't do I'm not a fundamental guy like you are, but I use AI to help me with that. And both Grok and ChatGPT coming in with like $12 to $13 fair value. after these deals. And I see Cantor Fitzgerald here in the news feed just yesterday, raised from 11 to 14. And there were a number of others. I don't see it right in front of me, but I'll be Riley 8 to 14. So a lot of these price targets kind of align with the AI research I did on fundamental value. So I don't know. That's where I'm getting my
Yeah,
conviction
look,
from.
keep in mind that these are all 12-month targets, right? So look, I think it's a fabulous
Yeah.
long-term hold at $9. Yeah, for sure. I think in 2026,
Yeah.
you're going to see $14, $15 at some point. I'm just talking about short-term trading opportunity. We know it's not very often when you get a catalyst with a time frame that's actually been defined by management. They've essentially said
What was the time frame
before
for
year
Cypher?
end. And nothing happens in December. Well, after the first couple of weeks of December, so you're already narrowed down to kind of a 4.5 month window. So look, I think anytime this thing breaks under 550, you want to add to it. I added to it yesterday. Missed its dip this morning. I was focused on other things, but yeah, I don't think you're going to see this thing dip much below these levels. Yeah, look at that chart. Is that a triple bottom? I'll let the technical. Oh, that's BMNR.
Yeah. No, sorry, I was bringing Ethereum and BM. So I'm like trying to focus in based on this conversation, like where the relative strength is, and I see two clear themes here, right? At least two, but one is Ethereum. I'm talking about the very short term, right? Seeing a bounce there in Ethereum and the ETH Treasury names, and the other is this what we're talking about here: Cipher, Wolf, Iron, etc. So those are two that I'm willing to hold through this volatility. I don't have the Cipher right now, but I'm in BMNR and Wolf, and I'll look at Cipher. I've been in and out a few times, but I definitely want to be there when they announce that meta deal. So definitely great info from
I
you on
see
that
some questions in the chat about VST, and look, I actually did a real deep dive again on these independent power producers. There's only a few of them, right? Talon, TLN,
Which one is that?
VST, Vistra Energy.
Oh,
So
okay.
for power producers that can operate in front of the meter, and this means on the unregulated side, there's big commitments for these power producers in terms of grid stability, and they're heavily legislated in terms of what they can charge. So for a lot of these utilities, it just doesn't make sense. But in the small group that includes CEG, VST, TLN, NEE, they are able.
LEU part of that?
Pardon me. Yeah,
LEU,
I'm getting to
Centrus?
that, but these are the actual utilities, right? These are the actual power providers, and these things have had tremendous runs. And across the board, I looked for an opportunity because I wanted to get long more power, because clearly this is the biggest bottleneck in AI. Everybody's telling you that, but I cannot get there in terms of further upside on a relative basis. Looking at the group, I see the biggest opportunity in ASPI. Their laser enrichment technology has now been has gone from test to commercial. It's now been proven. There are a number of other value creation opportunities that are happening in the latter half of this year, including spinning out some of these divisions as standalones. But anything that's radioactive that requires upgrading, which includes medical isotopes, et cetera, through their laser technology, can be done far lower capital costs than the traditional centrifuge technology that LEU uses. Now, I think that this is where you want to focus in terms of nuclear fuel. ASPI, LEU, I missed this run to, I think it topped at like 260, and didn't want to touch it. Thankfully, I didn't. But as soon as this thing started selling off with this convert deal that they did, I got in. And I owned some 190s and some $200 calls struck into latter fall. Actually surprised by this, it's now been 8 sessions in a row that this thing is sold off. I think there was a key technical level around the 165 level, and we broke that. and we've now bounced from that. So it's a little early to tell, but from a relative value basis, this is where I would be focused. This and names like GSRT, which needs to catch up with the rest of those modular reactor plays.
Yeah, and speaking of another thing I want to mention about GSRT, with these SPACs, an obvious thing that's happening here is that all the traders are coming in last minute. Look at this Kiev, right? Kiev, I think it was CCIR. All right, everyone knew it was going to be Kiev, the only Ukrainian play, but they didn't pump it up until like a day or two before the ticker symbol change. Everything is just such fast, hot money, and I think that's what you're going to see with GSRT. I think it's just dead money until a couple days before the ticker symbol change. So that's what I'm waiting for. Looking for a move like this, 30-50% move in GSRT, but we're going to have to wait.
The other name that you can put in that is DMYY, which is on the quantum side. I'm not as bullish on that as a key theme as I am on power, but there's another SPAC that will be changing its name and completing its deal on a quantum roll-in the latter half of this year.
Yeah. LEU, that's a good retirement account type of stock.
Yeah,
right?
look, here's the thing. The convert on this is now it's like 226, so you're not going to see any dilution on that. It's got to trade at like a 20% premium on that before they can actually even convert. So, and I think there's actually a time frame going out to 2029, if I'm not mistaken. I double check those terms, but so you're not going to see a lot of dilution, and the float on this is only 16.5 million shares. The other thing is the DOE has committed $3.4 billion to nuclear enrichment technology. This is not just HALEU and LEU buys, but it's expanding centrifuge technology, all the rest of it. This is the only U.S. company that has supplied commercial quantities to the U.S. government. They put out initial RFPs in June, and there will be new contracts granted before Christmas. And to say these guys are leading the pack in terms of likelihood of winning those contracts is an understatement. There really is. It's a one-horse race, frankly. There's nobody else with the capability. So look, this thing is deeply oversold off of this convert deal. At least that was the catalyst. I'm not sure it's justified. I think you see this thing back to a two-handle in relatively short order. It's one of the best short-term trade opportunities in a low-float name. It's these low-float names that get dislocated the most when liquidity dries up in the market. And here's a classic example in a group that probably has, I would argue, the strongest theme behind it.
Nice. All right, I'm going to be adding some of that to my retirement account right after we get off this show here. So,
and the other name that's looking really interesting to me here is AMD. I was happy to have sold when it ticked to 186. That was kind of bullshit lucky in a way. I did something that I never do, which is trim an entire position. I usually take a little bit off the table, and I've been waiting for an entry. I'm, right after this call started, this thing has done nothing but go straight up from 158.50 to 162.5. But I think you probably want to be long this name going into the Nvidia earnings next week.
Okay, you're talking about AMD,
yeah.
right? Yeah, I agree with that. That's a great name. All right, Rhett, you got anything else last couple of minutes?
No, that's pretty much it. The only other one that I'm watching that I added last week was Generac, which is down 4%. Just with hurricane season coming up and all that, with Aaron out there, I don't think it'll probably hit anywhere. But just a few others out there. This name normally tends to pop, and you see like a 10-20% move whenever the hurricanes come and hit. So just keeping that on you guys' radar as well. I think that could have a nice move in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get the chart up there. I'm on my phone trying to buy LEU for my retirement account, which I just did. All right, beautiful. Look at that. LEU is going straight up while we're talking about it. So, all right, very nice, guys. Ryan, you there? Oh, by the
I
way,
am.
You've been listening to the Godfather Knows show, covering for both of us really today. So if you like what he said, head on over to his X S Mantle, right? SMANTEL. Make sure you're following him over there for all the great content he provides. And if you'd like to join him on the Discord, there's a link on his
And
bio
also
over there.
hit the like and subscribe for the stream because he did it here on that stream. So definitely like that. Hey, what are teammates for, right? Some days we're under the weather. Some days we got other things going on. Godfather's stepping up today. That's how it's done.
One last alert that everyone should
Not even
set.
stopping. Look at this.
If OUST gets back, if it challenges 2750 to the downside, you want to add it. Again, this is a low float name, solid earnings profile, huge tailwind in terms of physical AI.
All right. That's how we're going to close it out. Really good stuff here today, folks. Ben, good luck in your recovery. I hope to see you all next week. All right.
Take care.
All right. That is Story Trading. Good stuff yet again from those guys. We're going to send you over to Futures Fever with Kevin now. Y'all get to say hi to Kevin again. You don't have to do anything. I'm going to send you over there. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused, and we will see you tomorrow.